the night and the Gemini crew. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another turn, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Everything's alright when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Giving the world light when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Sometimes things are just absurd, so let's just talk about the world, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another curl, 'cause you're here with us tonight.
Good morning, good evening, good night, and welcome to Mike in the Night. It is I, your host, Mike Martins, broadcasting from Merritt, British Columbia. The lights are dimmed, and the night is bright. Dim down those lights, grab some champagne, maybe a little bit of white wine or dark wine, red wine, whatever you drink, ice wine, and enjoy a little Mike in the Night. I want to thank everyone for coming on tonight. It is Oktoberfest. I went to an Oktoberfest party to spend half the day there. Lots of fun. Oktoberfest, just German music and beer and lots of festivities, if you want to say that. Broadcasting live from Merritt, British Columbia, and broadcasting to the entire Commonwealth, starting in New Zealand, across the pond to Australia, northwest to the United Kingdom, across to Canada, and south to the United States of America. Mike in the Night salutes you, and thanks for joining us tonight. So I hope everyone's having a great weekend. I hope everyone's enjoying the last couple of weeks of fall. We got a couple of weeks of fall. Well, we got 5 or 6 weeks until winter kicks in here in the northern hemisphere. And for the folks living southern hemisphere, in the Tropic of Cancer, is it Capricorn? No, it's Tropic of Cancer, they will be going into summer soon. Don't forget to join us in the comments. Mike in the Night live. Wow. Okay, we got quite a few people here in the comments already. We got Donaire, hi from Nova Scotia. Mike, glad you're still alive. How's the wine? Then we got 3 Right Guys Gaming. I'm drinking Bacardi white rum with tequila and lemonade. Hong Kong at the moment ran out of cash. Hong Kong ATM ran out of cash, sorry. And hey Mike, 042 was number. And comments are going to be flowing all night tonight. Don't forget to jump on to the live chat. We got people, I want to thank the truckers on I-10 in the most southern part of the United States. I-10 runs from Jacksonville, Florida, right across through the state of Texas, through New Mexico, Arizona, and California. And it ends in Los Angeles. So I want to thank all the truckers. There's quite a few listening to Mike in the Night. Most of them are listening to it on replay, because Mike in the Night replay has been very big lately, and I want to thank everyone for supporting that. You know, it means a lot to me that you guys come on. All right, all right. Well, everyone's talking about drinking in the comments. Well, I'm having myself a nice lemon water. It's just lemon water. And I got my backup one here because it is Mike in the Night and you're burning the midnight oil. If you're at work, I want to thank everyone for joining. All right, let's get into the channel plug here real quick. I got to do this, guys. Keep this operation going. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if there's anything about anything you're looking for, go to the channel, click on the magnifying glass, and search the channel for videos. Because I get a lot of people asking about the repo markets, people asking about housing prices are correcting, and this and that. Go to the magnifying glass, see if the video has been made. And I want to thank people for sending me emails all week long, and if your story coincides with the channel, then I'll be more than happy to read it live online on Mike in the Night and or during the week. I make videos for you guys, right? Let me dim the lights here a bit. It's a little bit strong here. It is Mike in the Night, so oh yeah. So don't forget to check out lots of updates here on NDP housing plan for Canada. Fail. 1.34 million empty homes across Canada. That's a new one. That's getting a lot of views. No more stress tests. You could borrow more in Australia right now. APRA, Australia is looking to crack down on second homes. If you own a second home in Australia, watch out because they're gonna start taxing you in a vacant home tax. Housing out of reach for most. Liar loans explained, and property flippers at war. And then in rants and lifestyle, we have taxation is theft. Canadians are taxed to death. Robots are coming for your jobs, people. Oh, yeah. Don't you forget that. Robots will be coming for your job. Not AI, but robots. Hello there. Can I get your name, please? You know. All right, guys. Don't forget to hit me up at the tip jar on PayPal if you want to hit me up. Don't forget to hit me up on Patreon. I lost a Patreon supporter, but if you want to jump on and be number 17, go ahead. $1 a month helps. It actually helps fund this damn transmission. It bought us a microphone, and then the AdSense bought me a video card, and then the month before that, I bought a solid-state hard drive, so I don't have to wait a million years for my computer to load. Really good. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Mike Martins Official. Come on to Instagram. I'm on here once in a while posting photos. And don't forget to come on here and follow me on Instagram. So we got Debt and Regret. Can you add me on Skype, please? We got Real German Instincts. Messaging me on Skype. I think I saw him in the comments there. Maybe we'll get him on the show. We got Dang 008. I was drinking Dr. Pepper and all my tooth in my mouth move. Yeah, I've drank in pop like at heavy, like when I was young, and my permanent teeth would start wobbling for some bizarro reason. It could be the huge injection of sugar. We got Brother John. What's up, Mike? Big hug to Brother John. Big hug to Debt and Regret. Big hug to Dang 008. Big hug to Pure Gusso. Big hug to Don Air. Big hug to Three Right Guys. Just sipping back on the water. And it's Mike in the Night. Yeah, I know I've said it 30 times, but it sounds so cool. It's like you can't get bored of saying Jamie Gutierrez, Miguel en la noche. Este noches de travesura with Mike in the Night. We got Luke in the saying, laugh out loud, my first job with my Portuguese brothers. Being a janitor, they had me training the floor sweeping robots. And on saying, is Mike Higgins robot from the comments on the taxation is theft? Mike Higgins. I'm not too sure. Yeah, there was a couple of people that usually like to correct me, which is fine. And I'm open to that. So there's no problem. If anybody knows, then they're obviously doing the right thing in life, right? They're living a life like no other. That's usually the case, right? When somebody usually knows everything, they obviously know where to position their funds, know when to pull out, know when to know when certain things in markets are happening, understand the trends in, not the housing market, but in, because if you know everything, why not work the markets and work it in your favor, right? Steve Stevens, my man. Much props, brother. Mike in the night, love the show. I love you, buddy. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, Anon saying he's telling people to move to Afghanistan if they don't like income tax. Well, here's the deal, guys. Let me explain to you guys. I don't mind paying tax. My parents pay tax. The beer man pays tax. The taxi man pays tax. The electricity company pays tax. Everybody pays tax. But it's not the point. The point is, why are we paying so much tax? When I read that article to you guys over here on my channel the other night, I read the article for you guys and I said, Canadians are paying, on average per household, family household, $40,000 a year to $43,000 a year on average per household. That's a lot of cake. That's a lot of cake, I say. You guys got to hear me here. I don't mind paying I don't mind paying an added service tax or an added service, whatever, to when I go shopping. That's fine. I don't mind paying it on a car. I don't mind paying it on luxury goods, like luxury tax. I don't mind paying that. It doesn't bother me. What bothers me is basically my internet is going down right now, and I hope it picks. Oh, it's picking back up. It's picking back up. It's picking back up. My internet temporarily went down there for a thousandth of a second. Not sure why. Nobody panic, okay? Get a cash business? Yeah, until they eliminate cash. That's just, Because I had a friend named Al Capone, and most of his businesses were cash. He had a really hard time moving his money around Chicago. Donaire is saying tax is theft. I don't mind paying tax. I don't mind paying my PST, my GST that I pay through my company. I don't mind paying the added goods and services tax. That's fine. That's fine. It's when you're paying, okay, you're going to pay a tax now to look at something. You're going to pay a tax to breathe in some air. Yes, here's Donaire. Here we go. 90% on taxes collected is wasted. Thank you very much in the comment section from Donaire. Thank you very much. That's not the point. The point is the $10,000 steak dinners, the $12,000 helicopter rides, the flights to this and the flights to that, and the global warming crap. That's what's really starting to piss off a lot of people. So, thing is, other business want a proper invoice with tax number and tax credits for claimables. Yeah, so you could expense and write them off. And I write off my gas. I don't burn a lot of gas. I write off my car insurance because I do go to work, 5 times a week or 4 times a week, right? So I am there. I'm there. So let's open her up here. Let's see what's happening in some of the news here. Let's move over to our friends here at Better Dwelling. Zero Hedge. Swamp draining begins. Trump orders cuts to Security Council amid CIA whistleblower coup. As Hong Kong ATMs run out of cash, central bank steps in to prevent panic among the public. So if they're running out of cash, that means people are running off on the markets, or they're running there's a runoff on the banking system. So people are basically losing faith in their government. And when you lose faith in the government, you start to take your money out of the banks. Yeah. So we got my man Luke in the comments. We got Evan in the comments. He's trying to share me videos, but they're blocked. Okay, we got one here. From Hong Kong. Hold on. This is from Evan in Hong Kong. So that's Evan on the ground sending us this footage. He's risking his life doing this. and trying to get this footage out. Yeah, so... Okay, the rules. YouTube has more commercial now. That's a tax. That's true. Brother John saying, how much tax are you willing to pay? 20% across the board is fine, as long as it goes to my kids' schools, it goes to my roads. But people should be taxed at different levels. I have 3 kids. I send them to the schooling. I should pay more tax because I am using the facilities. But a 77-year-old shouldn't be paying through the nose. A 77-year-old should be paying a lot less tax. And this way, their pension could go a lot further. Believe me, I'm on this. Don't worry. Like, 20% across the board is fair, not the 46% we're paying. In the old days, this is Zombie Apocalypse Gary. In the old days, if you couldn't get a good job, you would get a civil service job. Now, public jobs pay more than and offer bigger pensions than private sector jobs off the backs of the taxpayers. That's right. Remember what I said this morning on Morning Coffee with Mike? The problem with public service jobs is they negate against the private sector and create more red tape, bureaucracy, entanglements, aggregation against it. We don't want more government. I'm happy doing my stuff. I'm happy doing my show. I'm happy driving around town when I feel like it. I don't need government to tell me, well, you can't drive at this time. Well, this and that. And it's like, we don't need more governments, guys. Government should just, you know what a government should do, honestly? Should just fly around to different countries as a diplomat for the country, shake hands, say hi, and just not talk. Just look good. Just don't talk. Just stand there like, yeah, and that's it. A lot better off than what's been happening lately with our government flying around doing things. Just better off just keep it quiet, wear a nice shirt and tie, and yeah, that's it, be a yes man. That's it. Let the citizens take care of the country. Let us take care of what we need here. You know what I'm saying? Pashka sent me $1.99 morning coffee with Mike. Thank you so much. I'm going to use that money for coffee. That's right. A lot of taxes are just to service the debt. That's correct. But our problem is we're getting taxed more than what the governments are taxing more than what they're spending. That's the problem. So, Harold Gnome is saying taxes should be 15% VAT, no personal tax below 30K, flat tax above 30K, 15 points, corp tax 15 points. I think corporation tax should be 8%. Okay, 8% for mom and pop's business, 5 employees or less, and then 15% for bigger corporations that could afford to pay more towards their earnings, right? How about no taxes and we all just pay for what we use? That works. Then you're going into, what's it called? Oh my God. Oh, what's the name of that? You're going into something else now. Now, it's like you eliminate the welfare state, you eliminate everything, and people kind of do it for themselves. There's a name for that. There's a party in Canada for that. God, I forgot. My friend's part of this party. He's a member of the party. It's basically you kind of pay for what you use and you're accountable. Like if you drive, then you pay to help fix the streets. If you don't drive, then you shouldn't be contributing to the streets. You know what I'm saying? Libertarian. There we go. Harold Gomes says libertarian. That's exactly what a libertarian is. They pay for what they use. If I have kids in school, then I'll pay for contributing to send my kids to school. I don't mind doing that. I really don't. I don't believe in a free ride, right? Yeah, user pays. The problem is they're taxing on tax on tax on tax. Right? So Hong Kong ATMs run out of cash. Central bank steps in to prevent panic among the public. Yeah, they're losing confidence in their government. We just got this video from Evan, who is in the ground in Hong Kong. Very scary stuff here. Yeah, that's pretty sad. I hope we can get Evan on the show tonight. I haven't heard from Evan in 3 days, and that is not a good sign because Evan is always he's always got us on the pulse, and I'm concerned with Evan right now because the media is kind of playing it off like it's okay, we're good, don't panic, Cardanic, but it's not looking good from what we're being told here on Mike in the Night. So, central bank and commercial systems are in disarray. Max Kaiser on Kaiser Report says it's the best. It says it best. Yes. That's exactly what's happening. I'll see if I get Max Kaiser on my show. I don't think so. Those guys are all big guys. They're just big celebrities. They don't have time for small guys. My gold stock pick for 2019. And who owns your favorite news media outlet? I couldn't care less. I don't even watch news. You don't watch news because you're watching Mike in the Night. Identity of American psycho who killed 4 homeless men in New York City revealed. I don't even want to read that. Erdogan vows Sunday in incursion into Syria as Pentagon waffles. My gold stock pick, nobody cares. And inquiry gates, did Pelosi just prorogue the U.S. House? Prorogue. What are we on impeachment 463? I'm not too sure, to be really frank with you guys. So someone's saying, Mike, you could go on his show. He would have you on. I don't think he would. This is, no. A lot of those big channels, they want, like, credentials. They want real people that are really in touch with, that are in, if I was in my old position years ago, maybe, yeah, I could see that happening, right? Floating nuclear power plants are ready to shape the global emerging market. I don't think that's a great idea for a floating nuclear power plant. How's about we do what Portugal did and put those wave things that pick up electricity? Remember, guys, Portugal went off grid for 5 days. Let's see if it's still up so the globalists didn't take it down. Let's see if it's still here. It's off-grid living in Portugal. Let's see if it's in the news. Yeah, well, Portugal holds the world record for... basically, Portugal holds the world record for going off-grid. The entire country went off-grid for, I think it was 5 days, beating Germany's 4 hours. I'm just trying to see if I could find it here. It's an old article, though. I'm not too sure if it's still here. But yeah, they showed that it's possible, that it's yeah, it's not here. Off-grid living off-grid, freedom to choose to live off-grid in Portugal. Living off-grid in Portugal. Okay, it's not here, guys. Unfortunately, the article I read it a year and a half ago on the channel, and that's big. If a whole country could go off-grid for 5 days, and their casinos and their malls and everything don't get affected, and they're using their wave technology to gather power, and their solar and their wind, that's a good step in the right direction. But they're not looking at that, right? They're just complaining and chanting and fighting on the streets. We got a housing crisis, but they're chanting climate change. The reason why I'm not so crazy about the whole climate change thing is because we're just crying about it. We're not doing nothing about it. You don't care about the earth? Well, we pay so much money in tax. Fix the problem. The Portuguese did it. They went off grid for 5 days. Somebody look up the article and put it in the comments there for me so I could read it to you guys. Portugal goes off grid for 4 or 5 days. Beats Germany's 3 hours or 4 hours. I think it was MSNBC covered it. I think CNN covered it. And I think it was... Oh, we got Evan. Who the hell is this?
Oh, my ears were burning, Mike, so I thought I'd come and say hello. I like your Paul Bear costume. It's very good. Are you getting ready for Halloween?
No, it's my bellhop costume. I actually went to Oktoberfest today.
Ah, very good. Das ist nicht mein Bier. You got to have real German instincts to get Oktoberfest, though, Mike.
Well, definitely. I got my PMO belt on. I feel good.
Oh, very good. You might win the title with the Undertaker as
Yeah.
well, if you're lucky.
Evan, I was just showing your video to the people.
Oh, yes, Geisha will get shot. Well, she got shot in the face with pepper spray. It is pretty, severe here. I don't have many minutes, Mike, but I will chime in while I can. I will be going into a blockaded area momentarily, but I'll give you a rundown if you like.
Please.
All right, of course. All right, so yesterday and the night before, midnight of last night, they banned face masks. Any face mask, and they can arrest you a year in prison, I believe is the going rate at the moment, just for wearing a mask. Could be a surgical mask, can be any sort of mask you like. You can put your hands in front of your face. You can interpret the law however you like. But that's got a lot of people up in arms because that's just as bad as the extradition bill or this martial law. So people went around and wrecked the joint. Most of them police doing the wrecking, of course, because you see them getting changed into their protester uniforms and going around smashing things. Then again, it will get more violent as time
Guys,
goes
for
on.
people just tuning in right now, this is our correspondent here on the ground for Mike in the Night, our man Evan, who is on the ground in Hong Kong in these blockades and sending us videos. So here in the West, I mean, it's dead. The whole Hong Kong thing is over. It's like it's been taken care of.
That's right, just like France, Mike, because there's a news cycle, and the news cycle rule is this: you get 1 week, unless it's pushing an agenda, like a war on terror or something like that. Otherwise, it won't be on the news all the time. They've said it's cleaned up. Australian news, very biased. You watch Australian news about Hong Kong, it's comical. These evil protesters and innocent government trying to maintain order. All the protests are very orderly until the police arrive and start shooting people. So it's a bit of a spin there.
So you're telling us that everything's all civil, people are singing "Kumbaya," and then boom, the police arrive and the mess starts.
Well, police arrive and they'll arrest random people and shoot tear gas at them, and they ban masks, you see. So no, you're not allowed to wear a gas mask when they're tear gassing you, according to them. It's that spoiled child mentality where I have the authority, therefore I can make any arbitrary rule I want until you listen to me. And people won't listen to you. A lot of our stores that are sympathetic to the Chinese national interest have been trashed as well. It's quite amusing. There's one called 360 Mart, and each one that got the windows smashed in, you should have seen all the little old Chinese ladies raiding the place.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you want looters, little mainland Chinese ladies were just itching to get those cashew nuts and maple syrup, I tell you. It's terrible. And the phone shops, China Mobile is one of those cell phone carriers here, one of the big ones. I mean, I'm on China Mobile, they do the best deal. But unlimited data, unlike Australia, $10 for a gig of data. But
what? $10, 10 pesos, you mean?
No, this is 10 Australian dollars for a gig of data. That's in Australia. It's a ridiculous price. But in Hong Kong, it's 10 Australian dollars for a month worth of unlimited data.
Right.
So I prefer, far more reasonable. But anyway, they smashed that, and all these shops had these iPhones in the storage area. So guess what the Indians decided to do?
What?
They're all those phones are gone now. I don't know if you can put two and two together, but the Indians took a keen interest in the new iPhone, and the phones all happen to be gone now after the window was smashed.
Oh God, that's
a lot
horrible.
of that going on too.
That's horrible. So what can you tell us about ATMs running out of cash?
Yeah, they ran out of cash. That's basically it. People are panicking, of course. I mean,
so
you do
are you
have
seeing a
electronic
runoff on the banking system? Obviously, we
already.
know, everybody watching knows that we have lost, Hong Kong citizens have lost faith in their government. So do you see them draining their bank accounts now?
Oh, I've been doing that too. Everyone's been doing it when they can. I did it ahead of time because I could see where it was going. And then of course you hedge your money like US dollars. I've got stacks of US dollars. I've got stacks of Japanese yen. Any sort of hedge will do. The wife insisted because if the trade pact with America's gone, the Hong Kong dollar no longer has a pinning to the US dollar. If that happens, the dollar will be worthless, and the whole country will go down the gurgler overnight, although it really already has. I mean, the infrastructure is still here. It's only really superficial damage, a few windows here, a few shops there, but it's that symbol that they want. It's all about the image, and no side is innocent. The protesters, for the most part, are generally just regular people who are, don't want to be oppressed. But then you have the agitators, whether it's agent provocateurs from the police or, radicalized protesters who are paid big money from elsewhere. There are lots of different factions. But one thing is certain, while we keep fighting, divided, you are conquered. And a house divided cannot stand. And that's what they're doing.
You know who said that, right?
I do.
The Cadillac man, Lincoln.
Well, a house divided cannot stand. Also a biblical quote. I don't know if you know. I mean, Satan can't
Jesus said
out his
that,
own.
but Abraham Lincoln said that in one of his addresses, that a house divided cannot stand.
That's right. It's a very good quote. It's very true too. And we see the governments all around the world and the media all around the world interlocking to spin the same story. That's why you don't hear about France. And I just talked to my France associate. He runs the lawyers' union in Lyon and part of Paris, and that's still going on. There's been no peace in France, none at all.
Yeah, it's like non-existent now, because I had a friend, I talked to a friend, he's like, I'm kind of happy that they resolved this problem in Hong Kong, and I'm like, what the hell have you been smoking, and can you pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side?
Yeah, it's only gotten worse, that's for sure. The thing is, I mean, even with me, it's very hard to get around. The trains are all shut down. There's very little rail. I mean, the train stations, a lot of them were lit on fire. A few trains were lit on fire. A lot of things were lit on fire. Usually it's the police who throw the Molotov cocktails pretending to be protesters. But I'm sure, eventually people think it's a good idea. Monkey see, monkey do. But yeah, the rail system shut down, mostly. I mean, there's some things working. I've been walking around today because guess what? Business is rather quiet at this time. So you better explore around and try not to get shot or arrested. Live ammunition as well.
Have you been arrested yet, or kind of caught in the mix by accident?
A few times, Mike, but not arrested. I mean, you don't want to be arrested because they've got the Home Ridge detention facility where mostly school children, by the way, are being abducted to. It can be at any time of the day. The police don't like you, they'll drag you away in a van, not unlike what Brazil or, South American dictatorship sort of countries do, Colombia, that kind of vibe where you're pulled into a van and you're gone. And they're taken to this facility, and I only know one person who got out. And apparently the quota is 5%, according to my little birds on the inside of everything. The whole place is run by Mandarin-speaking people, and everyone there gets raped, tortured to death,
so
usually.
So they're picking up random people and doing this to them?
I'm sure they have a particular target / quota. I'm looking at the numbers, and the numbers don't look good, sort of situation. But they are abducting random people. If you look at them funny, cops will go after you. They won't go after me yet. I mean, that'll happen, but not quite yet. It'd be a bit too much work to try and arrest me, I think. I'm a bit too tall for them at this stage. But, they do have guns. That does tip the scale in their favour somewhat. But what I was going to say is these people are, tortured and raped to death. The only person I know who got out, one of my students, a friend of one of my students, he got out. All his ribs are broken. He's still in a intensive care. They shattered his shins, sexual abuse and all of that. Most of the, girls, boys, all teenagers, 14, 15 years old, slightly higher, they're all getting absolutely destroyed. And if they die, they're organ harvested and they're never seen again.
This
So,
is worse than the It movie.
yeah.
Or this is like worse than the worst Stephen scariest movie you could ever see.
Oh, it's pretty awful. He was lucky to get out. He had a lot of bribe money. That's about the only way to get out. I mean, the police are under pressure too. I've got little birds tweeting at me from various angles, and I can tell you a lot of the police are doing like 36-hour shifts, 40-hour shifts. They don't get any downtime. They get all that overtime pay, but eventually how much overtime is worth 40-hour shifts and then 8 hours sleep? Doesn't last very long before you start to go manic. More mistakes will be made, won't there? More and more.
Well, more misrepresentation of or bad judgment calls, right?
Oh, definitely. You're not wrong there, Mike. So, going to be one mistake after another. But of course, you can plant evidence. And you've got the entire media on your side, so you're pretty safe in that regard.
Well,
But
I'm
might have
not
to
a
jump
fan of the
Mike,
Chinese
unfortunately.
Communist Party. I'm no fan of them. Like, I mean, I'm just no fan of their lying and deceitful
Look,
and.
it's a world system, Mike. You're seeing how they all work together now. Look at the media. But
And
I
why
do
are
have
these-
to run, Mike. I
And
do
why are
have
these
to
zombies
run.
trying to bring this to the West? Are they out of their tree?
Oh no, that's the world system. But I do have to run, Mike. I will have to jet. I'm gonna
Okay,
catch you
stay
later.
strong, Evan, and call us if anything happens, or you could just live stream us straight live from Hong Kong if there's anything you want to show us.
I'll try my best, Mike. I'll catch you later.
God bless you.
See you.
Bye. That is Evan on the ground in Hong Kong, sending us some very important. Here it is, guys. I'll show this to you guys again. I caught this the other day. See that lady in white right there? She's dressed in white. It looks like kind of like a traditional garment of some sort. And then this banana comes here and knocks her down. That's small penis syndrome right there at its best. That's small penis syndrome right there. Man, I can't believe that, man. I don't like seeing that kind of garbage. So we did confirm with Evan on the ground that Hong Kong ATM machines are out of money. There is no confidence in the government right now on the ground, and people are pulling their money out. Yes. Yeah. Pretty good chances they don't have steam to pull off. I have friends running the NCA. I'm having a slowing demand in trucking. Just bring this collapse already. Man. All right. Okay, what else we got here going on? Uber Copter will now fly you from New York City to JFK for $200. That might be worth it instead of spending 3 hours to get there in traffic. That actually might be worth $200. But I don't know about sitting in a helicopter with no one flying it. I'll be sitting there like, do I do something here? Do I press something? Do I give it a secret word to land? Or anti-Trump CIA whistleblower concealed huddle with Schiff committee. Saturday humor, new Facebook TOS includes compulsory conscription into Zuckerberg's army. There's a foot soldier right here for Zuckerberg. NATO publishers rare photos of intercepted Russian supersonic fighter over the Baltic. Knowing what to sell insight on Steve Cohen. Recessionary shockwaves slam U.S. economy as GM strike enters week 4. So the strike cost 46,000 workers at 34 plants nationwide to step off the job so far. Whew. You keep pushing that, they're going to move it down to Mexico, I'm telling you. Sorry, guys. It's Mike in the Night, guys. Burning the midnight oil. Mall vacancy rates hit 8-year high amid record number of store closures. That's huge, guys. The average mall vacancy rate has reached an 8-year high, itching up from 0.1 from the last quarter to 9.4 as 9.4% as realtors have already announced or completed a record 11,000 store closures in 2019. This is a big deal, guys. Lots going on right now. This is a really exciting time to be alive. I'm not going to front. I'm not going to say it's not. It's a really, really, really exciting time to be around, to see what's unfolding. Are we going to be alive to see the event horizon going to happen in our lifetimes? That's the question. National Retail Federation forecasts solid holiday growth. So everyone's talking about holiday growth. And could Christmas save the economy? Could Christmas save the economy? B&M Bloomberg as Trans Mountain files under the election radar, a missed opportunity. 5 burning questions as Zeller's final 2 stores set to close. Oh my God, the lowest price is the law. Zeller's. What else is going on here in business? HP to cut as much as 16% of its workforce amid print unit woes. Ooh, Pocahontas. Rosenberg, Pocahontas Warren is bigger threat to markets than U.S. or China trade war. Yeah, I'll pull right out of the markets if she looks like she's going to win the election. I'll pull right out of the markets. You're going to see a huge runoff on the stock markets, huge sell-off. Sorry. Toronto housing market posts biggest price gain in 21 months, but homes are still on a decline in price, and it's only a price gain because they're comparing it to 2018 numbers, which were the weakest they had in over 2 decades. So, yeah. All right. Let's see if we can get someone on the show here. We already got Evan on. Let's see if we can get Real German Instincts. He's drinking some vodka. Let's see if he's drunk yet.
Hello, Mike.
How are you, my brother?
Not too bad. The missus went home a little bit early, had to look after her father who's 70, to take him to the hospital. That was fun, I suppose. What's going on?
I want to ask you one question. Is Christmas going to save the economy this year?
No. I don't think so.
Well, it's got here, National Retail Federation forecasts a solid holiday growth. So could Christmas save the economy? Are people going to go out and shop with money they don't already have to spend more money they don't have already?
Well, they replaced all the Christian population over the last 40 years, so I'd say no. The only thing that Christmas represents is a corporate holiday, and, you know.
Well, I'm not saying Christmas. For Christmas, it's different for me. Yeah. But this is saying holiday growth. So holiday growth means, like, I think a lot of people that are already tapped out in finances.
I don't think so. Like I said, consumer spending is just going to keep going down the tube types. The economy's screwed. You got the truckers. You got the shipping index is down. You got the banks interlending with each other, and now the Fed has to pump money because there's a liquidity crisis. Mm-hmm. You got the German the European economic engine, the German economy is going down. You got China going down.
Well, they're all, Europe's, 78% of Europe is right now in negative territory. So that's not good.
I will say this, though. When the liquidity crisis, if it hits, and it probably, because they're going to try and stop it, but if they fail at stopping it, even the hard assets are going to take a hit, but what will happen is they'll go down, like gold, silver, Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it, or whatever one you're interested in. What I think is going to happen is they're going to go down in value because of the liquidity crisis, but then they're going to shoot right back up even higher.
Yeah.
Because they're going to print money, right?
Do you remember when gold went down to, like last week, it went down to 1480 something and everything went down, gold and silver went down? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, even
a week and a half
even
ago, it went down a lot. Remember?
Yeah,
I actually bought on that dip.
Yeah, a lot of the corporations, they don't have any cash. They're all cash strapped right now, right? Because they've been wasting all their money for years into doing stock buybacks and shit like that to try and increase their stock value.
Well, when you do stock buybacks, your company turns into an empty shell. It becomes an empty. There's nothing there anymore.
But what's going to happen from the liquidity crisis is all the cash strapped companies. Some of them are going to go bankrupt. They're going to go belly up unless they inject cash in. But if even like because the debt is eating up all of the cash that they're putting in as is, right? Now they're talking about they're going to put in a liquidity crisis permanently. Like that's going to be the new QE.
But
It's
here's the
just
thing. Okay, I get how that works. I'm understanding it's like basically buying back your debt at the end of the session, and then it's kind of like refinancing your mortgage every day is what it is what they're doing. But my question to you is if they can't deleverage it, or if it's not enough deleverage and not enough banks aren't deleveraging enough, and they're not making enough profit back to pay back the repo markets, then you're going to start seeing them have to force themselves to lower rates.
What do you mean the Fed's going to have to lower the rates?
They're going to have to. Because they're trying this out. They're trying to make money a liquidity, as in like it's backed by gold in a way, but they're using the injection of the money that they're putting in and using the liquidity of the value of the currency almost like it's backed by something, which it really isn't. And they're kind of trying to Ponzi it in that kind of form in a way, and have to rewrite that every day until they...
Ever since the oil glut, the U.S. dollar used to be backed by oil. Now all that's left backing it is debt.
Well, yeah. Remember, America's biggest export is inflation. They export inflation.
I thought that was China's deal. They export their inflation.
No, actually, America exports more inflation than any other country. Because everyone needs to buy U.S. dollars to purchase their oil.
No, actually, no. I was right the first time. China exports their inflation. See, here let me explain. China, say, builds 1,000 tons of steel, right? They don't have. They only need 500.
Mm-hmm.
So they export that inflation of excess steel to, say, America, and they dump it on their market, destroying jobs, so that they can continue to exponentially grow their jobs, even though they don't have enough to consume that metal themselves.
Okay,
so
I'm talking about currency.
Yeah, no. The America is well known for exporting. That's the privilege of having the reserve currency, right?
Right. Before it was the British pound, right? And before I think it was on a gold reserve. I think for many of the banks it was under private gold reserves before the British pound became the reserve currency. I think it was. I can't remember what it was. I don't know. Just so much come and go all the time. You just forget so many things, you know?
Right.
So I want to ask you, you're in Canada, you're in Eastern Canada. Who's going to win this election in your opinion? Without swearing, please.
What election? What one are we talking about?
Canadian.
The provincial? Oof. The hard one. I hate to say it, but I support Trudeau or the NDP leader only due to the fact that I want this Mickey Mouse game to finally come to a crashing end. And I think those guys will bring an end to it much quicker than anyone else because they don't understand anything about economics. Skier, someone like Skier, I don't even like Skier because he's a neocon. He's not really, he's like a progressive conservative, if anything, right? So like, the left have pushed the paradigm so far that the neocon conservatives, like, if anything, I like someone like Max Bernier. But if you ask me, I think it's a coin toss flip with Trudeau and Skier at the moment. Honestly, okay. It's a 50-50, right?
But you know what's scaring me is the housing crisis isn't front and center on this debate. The crisis for them is climate change. But in the show earlier, I was discussing how Portugal set a world record that went 5 days off-grid, 100%. The entire country went off-grid for 5 days with their solar, their wave technology, and their desalination plants, and all the other stuff that they have going on. They went entirely off-grid for 5 days, beating Germany's 4 hours.
Yeah, but I just want to say something about the climate change. That stuff is becoming so crazy that they're now expecting us to eat insects. That's what they're
Well,
they're.
yeah, it's gonna get to that, but the thing is, the thing is that they're gonna say, well, we should have more robots replacing humans now because humans are not necessary anymore. They're gonna do everything in their power. So, did you know that in 1881 they were actually petitioning to start charging people and countries for carbon tax in 1881? They had this on the go for about it was on the agenda for about a year and a half in 1881 that climate change and carbon tax was the way to save the world. And then they got rid of it.
Yeah, but here's another thing: the climate change for the West is useless because if you look at a country like Canada, we're not really we're a net negative. Look at all the trees we have, sucking up all the toxicity. But then you look at China. So if we make ourselves less economically competitive, what just happens is other countries pollute more, so it's useless. And even the East Indian Prime Minister, when he went to the Paris Climate Accord, he said, I'll cut back our quality of living by sixfold when we can embrace and live a Western standard of living. My people can live a Western standard of living that you guys do here in the West. So like it's a mute point. Like I don't know what they expect to accomplish, but now do me a favor, go into Google right now and look up. Climate change, eat insects. Like that's what, and there's a lot of articles. They're shilling that hard. They want us to eat grasshoppers so people in Africa can eat hamburgers. Like it's insane because they're like, well, Africa's is going to need more meat, and so we have to cut back. Like these people
Oh
are
god. Oh my god. Would you eat insects to save the planet from global warming? You might not want to
every,
eat bugs, but you will eat meat. Would eating insects save us from climate change?
this shit is creepy, man. They want us, what they want to fucking shove down our throats is disgusting. It's as far as human as it gets at this point.
No, I hear
So
you.
the fact that we have people still supporting the left, I don't know what the solution. Like I've been saying for a while, I don't really have a solution. My solution is like just speed up and accelerate the collapse so that everyone has to finally wake up
See, look at
from.
this. Angelina Jolie shows kids how to flip a scorpion. There she is. She's eating a scorpion. Oh, look at that. A role model. Angelina Jolie's eating bugs.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to push on the society, that we have to eat bugs to save the planet now. We have to
Dude,
eat.
even if Michael Jack eat bugs, I won't even eat bugs myself.
Yeah, but listen, when are you gonna have a worm hamburger to save the planet?
Dude, it's not gonna happen, man. Dude,
You know, any
listen,
worm.
hear me out, please. Portugal showed the rest of the world they could go off grid for 5 days. Their casinos, their malls, their strip malls, their homes, not a single interruption in the power grid for the Portuguese. Right now, Portugal is 72% off grid full time.
Yeah, but
So
we're not on grid yet. So in the meantime, are you gonna eat a grasshopper burger?
no. In the meantime, why don't they get together and actually start making a change physically instead of complaining and charging us tax for it? Start actually using some of that money that we're giving away to people
Right,
or
right.
giving them to countries we don't even find on the map. Why don't they
Right.
start creating resources here, and that will create jobs, and that we could put our entire country off grid, and we don't have to worry about our carbon footprint.
Yeah, but if I'm Justin Trudeau, who cares about jobs? I just need to look good and play dress up, and your opinion doesn't matter. I'm just going to raise your taxes, and then what we're going to do is I'm just going to go buy a bunch of votes,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually we're going to import more and more immigrants so that your vote gets silenced because they're coming from the third world, and anything's better than where they're living right now, and they'll just betray you anyways, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll vote in for me, and until they're going to vote in someone else, like NDP leader Jasmeet Singh, who's constantly race baiting, by the way. It's crazy that he constantly talks about racism. He's one of the most racist politicians I've seen yet on the Canadian debate. At least in my lifetime as like a millennial, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's constantly trying to stoke racial hatred. It's crazy. But
Anyways.
no, the people are not the focus or the priority to these politicians, and it's gotten so bad with the dumbed down population that no one even questions them anymore. They just do it out in the open now. It's like they don't care. They're like, oh, so what if you knew I did NC11? You'll still vote for me. And right now the polling is 50-50.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? And and then I've talked to many people. They say, oh, I talked to my own grandmother, and she's liberal, she's NDP, whatever, because our whole family was longshoremen for years in Vancouver ports. And I said, you voted for the Jasmine Exchange? She's like, I voted for the party. And I was like, okay. At the end of the day, people just don't seem to care or be properly educated anymore. These politicians will do whatever they want, and they're getting away with it, and we're letting them get away with it.
Yeah, because if this was at the turn of the 20th century, even the 19th and 18th century, this stuff would have ended a long time ago. All this crap that's happening would have been gone. We would have a new government in place, and we would have started from scratch.
If this was like even the 1950s, what would have occurred is people would have literally came into the politician's house and drug them out. They would have dragged them out of the government building and told them, and they would have shamed them publicly.
Yeah, or they would have sent him to a psych ward or something.
They would have tied him up to a street lamp and started throwing tomatoes at him.
Yep, tar and feather.
Mm-hmm. But not anymore. That would be a hate crime.
Yep. Anyways, okay. Thank you so much for calling, buddy. 3 Right Guys Gaming. Thanks for calling. Thanks for picking up the phone when I called. I appreciate that for your input on what's happening in the Canadian elections.
Yeah, it's all a clown world. It's all a joke, honk honk. You know what I mean? Until everything finally collapses, that's all this is as far as I'm concerned. It's just one big joke, man.
All right. Don't drink. Are you drinking vodka?
No. I was drinking Bacardi white rum with some tequila with some lemonade.
All right. Okay. Well, enjoy your drink and tune into the rest of the show if you don't fall asleep.
Of course. Ciao for now, my
friend.
Now.
Good night. Goodbye.
Good night.
You'll see him in the comments. 3 Right Guys Gaming. Trudeau's such a boob. He gets power from yelling racist. And no, listen, guys. Let me make myself real clear here, because I don't think I'm making myself clear. It's People-toba, not Manitoba. It's People-toba. All right? It's People-toba. You're tuned in to Mike in the Night. Guys, don't forget to support this transmission. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to share any video on here, share a video on here, please. Don't forget to watch my Living the Dream series here on my channel. It talks about when I moved to Vancouver. Here's my house I bought for $260,000. And that's us fixing it up. There's my neighborhood. And that's Living the Dream series. Don't forget Game Store Business from Scratch. Don't forget to watch the Merit Harassment series. That's a good one. And yeah, so that's that. Guys, don't forget to tip me on PayPal. You could find my links up top here. And Patreon, I lost a Patreon supporter. I'm trying to get 20 Patreon supporters by Christmas. It feels good that you're rewarded for it and people appreciate, It feels good. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Mike Martins Official. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, please follow me there. Yeah, Elizabeth saying, poor kids being taught garbage in school and now kids going out striking about climate change. And yeah, you know what, guys? Climate does change. Okay, if you want to minimize our carbon footprint, if we even have one, do what Portugal did. They went 5 days off grid and they proved to everybody. And it was wave technology they have there. I'm going to be going to Portugal next year and I'm going to be documenting for you guys when I'm there, showing you guys their power systems that they have there, right? And the ethanol plants that they have with garbage dumps, they fill up the dump with garbage, and then they close it off, and then they have some regulator valves and exhaust valves and regulate electricity for small towns. Yeah, Nick is saying, I'm going for a 3-insect sub at Subway, but make sure you put the sub sauce on with that, right? Make sure you put on the sub sauce with that, guys. If you don't put the sub sauce on the on the insect sandwich, it won't taste the same. I prefer the orange cheese, like the cheddar, over the white one with the insect sub. I do like an extra maggot on the side, just my opinion. Yeah, bug sauce is good too. Bug sauce is good. And who else we got here? Got the Raven saying he's working. Then we got somebody here. Hey, Mike, I'm an Aussie viewer on YouTube. It's good work covering the real estate and financial. Sure. It's always good when somebody puts in their point of view. I think it's very important that people... It doesn't matter how knowledgeable they are, but that you're voicing an opinion out there, and I think that's very important. Yeah. Grinor Alukha saying people are so concerned with impressing other people, yet they are not concerned about the distributions that is going to the farmland and flooding in middle America. Yeah, they're not. No one's looking at the big picture, basically. No one's really looking at what's happening, and that's the scary part. We're like so easily manipulated, so easily distracted. You see a purple cat. Oh, a purple cat. Oh, a purple cat. Look, a purple cat. And then you just forget that the world's ending around you because you're looking at a purple cat. Let's get... Woo! No one wooing in the... wooing in the... I gotta open good old Ricky Flair. It isn't a right Mike in the Night without Ric Flair. Soundboard. Come on, guys. Woo! Here we go. Ric Flair soundboard. I gotta save this, man. I gotta save the soundboard, man. I love Ric Flair. Good old Ricky Flair. All right. Let's see what we got here for Ric Flair. All right. I'm going to close this. There's ads opening everywhere. Okay, how do you close these ads? They're just blocking my... Why are you blocking my... I'm opening the ad so we can close it, but it's not closing it. Oh, Christ. It's blocking my... Woo! Woo! Yeah, it's this is an entire ad blocking half of the page here. It's disgusting. All right.
Ric Flair!
Oh, yeah. Now, we got Ric Flair in the house, okay? My
name's Ric Flair!
We got Ric Flair in the house. Now it's a true Mike in the Night. Woo! All right, Mike in the Night. All right, who can we get on the show tonight? Do we have any first-time callers that want to call in? Do we have any first-time callers that want to call in? I'm from Markham, east side of Toronto. I'm not sure if this person's awake right now. Let me know if you're awake. Okay, we got Ed calling in. Hello, Ed. How are you?
How's it going, Mike?
It's going fantastic. So, what's on your mind, Eddie? Tell us what's on your mind.
Oh, I don't know if you guys or your audience has heard about the Dr. Tim Ball blowing the water, blowing the climate change hoax right out of the water.
Well, tell us what is there an article? Is there something I should look up on Google?
Googled Dr. Tim Ball. It's actually just down the road from you. It's in British Columbia Supreme Court. I think it was the court case was finally ended about a month or two ago. And Dr. Tim Ball was questioning all the data that they used to produce this hockey stick temperature graph. And it was all based on the rings of one cypress tree, I believe. Mm-hmm. And the guy down in Penn State, who originally produced this back in the early 2000s, that was the graph, the chart, and the data that fed all this global warming BS. So the Dr. Tim Ball took him to court. He's a scientist, and he said that nothing the guy does lines up with the data and the research that he's been doing, and he's questioning the data. And the guy wouldn't produce it. Judge awarded him costs, everything.
Really? Well, we all know that global warming. It's they tried pulling it in the 1880s and it wasn't successful and it fell apart. And now they're trying to pull it again. They started with global warming and then that didn't work and Florida wasn't underwater by 2018 like they predicted and the polar ice caps got bigger, not smaller. So there is global climate change. I'm not going to argue that. You see, now they're wording the language in a way saying, now it's climate change now. You can't deny climate doesn't change. I'm like, well, it does change. But I think they're just really they're pulling full stops to get this through, especially the younger children generation's head.
Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a lot of strong evidence that the world was 6.5 degrees warmer around the 1100s. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 6.5 degrees Celsius warmer than where we're at today. So, and we're still here. What the hell?
Well, climate does change. You know why? It's the sun has its own orbit. The sun has its own wobble, its own orbit. Do you know that 809 years ago we went through a mini ice age?
I thought that was in the 1600s.
Let's check it out right now. Mini ice age. We have it on. It's not on news. Go to mini ice age, little ice age, Wikipedia. Little ice age was the period cooling that occurred after the medieval warm period. Although the true ice age, the term was introduced to specific literature. Let's see if we can get the date on that. But the mini ice age. So you're saying it was around the 1600s?
I believe so because there's pictures of around 1640, if I'm not mistaken. Because there's pictures where the Thames was frozen over in England. Mm-hmm. In the winter, people were skating on it.
Well, here it is. There's some really hard proof right here. The last written records of the Norse Greenlanders were from 1458 after they were basically at Havsley Church in Greenland, basically when they got iced out of the country.
Yeah. And Greenland is called Greenland because people were farming on there.
Oh, yeah. It was lush green vegetation that grew after the volcanic era there in the year 900.
Yeah, that's the time when it was much warmer.
Yeah, well, the lava was cooling off for several hundred years, right? And then it started growing beautiful, lush green, everything.
Now, there was also one year in the around 1840s, 1860s, where there was no summer because of a big volcano went off somewhere down in Indonesia area, roughly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're actually right on that. What about Mount St. Helen?
Mount St. Helens was like 1/25th of the size of this thing it blew in 1840s.
Yeah.
Or 1816, or it was in the 1800s.
Okay. Because
people were starving in Europe.
This one here was in our lifetime. And the Mount St. Helen eruption, basically a lot of young people don't know this, but the Mount St. Helen eruption put more soot and ash. Look at this car, people, in soot and ash. This is soot and ash. This is not lava. If this was lava, this car would have been disappeared. This is soot and ash. There's so much of it went into our ionosphere and into in the ozone that it actually dropped the temperatures for that year by 4 degrees that 1 year after the Mount St. Helen eruption. And not only that, it put more carbon in our atmosphere than we as humans have in the last 100 years.
Yeah, I remember that summer actually. I'm a little bit older than you. I was in Europe and I got back and talking to friends, says, "How was your summer?" I says, "Oh, it was great in Europe. How about you guys?" Says, "Oh man, it rained every day almost."
Yeah.
That never happens in Toronto.
No, of course not. But look at the damage this thing did. It just ripped everything apart, people watching. And this is the affected areas by the, right here. This is the fallout, okay? So this is May 1980. This is the ash fallout distribution. within the United States. It swept across Canada also, but these parts were here. 2 to 5 inches of soot on people's cars outside within a 75 to 150 mile radius. That's more carbon than we could do in 100 years on Earth. Do you agree with me, or am I delusional, buddy?
I can't agree with your numbers because I haven't done the math, but you're pretty close.
Yeah. Like, I'm not
So, yeah,
trying to, I'm just wanting people to wake up and kind of maybe just do their own research. I want the young kids today to see this, because if they see what this one volcano did, back in the 1600s, we'd get 1 to 3 volcanoes a year go off, and now it's kind of more dormant and more quiet.
If you know Barry Prince, he's following the volcanoes activity in British Columbia, and he's getting real nervous.
A lot of the seismic readings we're catching, it's not earthquakes, it's actually volcanoes.
Well, that's what Barry's been watching, is the volcanoes and seismic activity, and he's getting scary, and he's up near the Alaskan border almost.
Mm-hmm. He's up by Prince
So
George,
for mushroom
right?
somewhere up there. I've never been to BC. I got to get out there one of these days before my time is up here.
Yeah.
But anyways, the big news in this whole Greta nonsense is because they finally debunked the science, and this was Timothy Ball. And it's huge, and that's why they're stepping up the pressure from the loony left. They gotta get more people to scare more people into believing. That's why it's all over mainstream media. But you'll never hear about Dr. Tim Ball, now will ya?
I'm not finding anything you're saying. Everything you're telling me, I can't find it. I believe. You know why? It's because I believe you, and I know you're right about this, and I can't even find it here. And I'm in BC, and I can't even find this article. And all I'm seeing is about Greta Thunberg, Greta this, and that's all I'm finding.
Well, you know what? They're probably trying to scrub it.
Of course they're trying to scrub it.
Freedom free for all.
Well, you know that Google controls what we see, right?
Yeah.
If
try Freedom Free for All. They do video podcasts twice a week, and I'm not sure if they're in Vancouver or Victoria, or they're down there somewhere.
Okay, I'm opening their website right now. Come on,
Freedom Free for All.
Here it is. Watch Freedom Free for All live. Here they are here. Oh, they got all kinds of stuff here. Neo-humanity. Obey. Freedom Free for All mugs. Yeah, they got lots of stuff on their website here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, guys, check out Freedom Free for All if you get some chance, especially if you're living in Canada. This is local. So, yeah, man, I should get them to I should contact these guys and maybe just contribute to what they got going on, right?
Yeah, these guys are pretty on the ball. They've got a libertarian twist on most things, but decent guys. And if it wasn't for these guys, because of these guys, I stopped calling BC the left coast.
Woo! Hey, I lean right. I'm a right-leaning guy. I'm a conservative. I believe in producing. I believe in making your way, right?
Yep.
I believe in raising my family my way. I believe in taking care and sending my, doing the what I believe is right?
Yeah, these are all good traits. You're starting to sound like an old stock Canadian, though.
Is that bad or good?
Hey, in my world, it's a good thing. And if you're Trudeau or anything left of center, that's a bad thing.
What do you mean by Trudeau? You mean Turdo?
The guy with the gay socks.
No, you mean Turdo.
The MK Ultra dude. The guy that's
Turdo.
The guy that was, as he was a teacher, was sleeping with a 17-year-old student. That guy. That happened around the corner from your place.
Oh my god. Woo! All right, Eddie. Hey, do you want to, next week we're going to do some Canadian politics because we're getting really close. We're about 17 or 18 days away from the election. Maybe you should come on. Maybe I'll go live on that day and actually We'll cover it live if you want to call in as the votes get counted by province. We'll be the last province to close out in BC. So it will be good if you could come on and tell us what's happening there on the east, and maybe do some video there on the east, showing some of the polls there and what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Right on.
Yeah, just
Well,
create awareness on the east coast there.
Yeah, I'm a member of the Northern Guard and Canadian Combat Coalition. I also work with guys like Derek Story of Noble Savages,
Cool.
Rick Boswick, Facts versus Feelings, Wayne Peters, What's Up Canada, Kevin J. Johnson.
Wow.
You heard of any of these guys?
I know Kevin J. Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I think it's two of them. I know two of the names you mentioned there. So that's good. You're out and about and contributing. That's the most important thing, Eddie, is to get out there and I hate the people that complain but they stay home and play video games.
You know what? Once you've been red pilled and you're woke, you can't unwoke.
Oh yeah, it's like an unseeming paradox that opens up in your mind and you realize we're screwed.
Yeah, we are. And what are you going to do about it? And if not you, then who?
Right. That's right. But we have to wait for people to run out of things. Once you have nothing to lose anymore, then that's when people start fighting back.
It's sad that but true. It's a sad but true statement you just made there.
Yep. Once people run out of things, then that's when people start to realize it's time to fight back because they got nothing left to lose. So.
But not everybody. Look what's going on in China. Like, those people know what they've got and they know what's coming.
Oh yeah. See, my friend Evan is on the ground. He sent me some videos. He sent me another video 2 days ago. I can't even put that on YouTube. If I put that on YouTube, they're gonna shut my channel down. So he's sending me footage. They're right there live in Hong Kong. He's on the ground there and he's reporting to me like every day. And it's really hard to show some of the videos he shows me because some of them are really, really bad.
You know what? You got to put it on an alternative platform. BitChute comes to mind.
I use BitChute, but it takes a million years to upload a video. And then when it does, half the time it doesn't stick. It actually stays blank.
Really?
Yeah, I've been on BitChute quite a bit. I've uploaded about 66 videos. And to upload a video, it takes like 500% more effort than it does to do on YouTube.
Well, at least it won't go down, right? For now.
Well, I hope God hears you. Because you never know.
You know what? I think even the people that are on the right are usually quite tight with their money. And I think a lot of those people that are multimillionaires that are on the right are figuring out, you know what? I got to help out here a little bit, and I think they're going to come to our rescue. And Trump's got to do something about all the censorship on the right. This is outrageous.
Yeah. No, it's like a one-sided party that gets to speak, and it's like a one-sided debate. And then when the other side wants to give their opinion or try to convey some sort of a message in return, they're called a racist, or they're called a bigot, or they're called, I don't know what do you think the next word is going to be? The word racism means nothing now. It's absolutely meaningless. What do you think the next one they're going to call people as? They've already tried Nazi. That's getting old.
Man, you know how many times I've been called a Nazi, a racist, and a bigot by the Antifa?
Oh, those guys?
Yeah, I've been pummeled.
Those guys have no organization. I don't even know what those guys want. They don't even have a platform. Those guys have no level of Antifa guys. They're a bunch of losers. They have no level of rule. There's no rule in there. Nobody knows who and what and who to take orders from. No, they have no demands to the people, to the governments. They're just out there starting fistfights with people, and then they get their teeth knocked out of them, and then they start crying on camera.
I haven't seen that in Toronto. In Toronto, the cops stand up for Antifa.
Of course, yes. But I'm talking about in parts of the States, a lot of Antifa members are getting knocked out.
As they should. They're communists. That's what they want. Anarchy, communism, socialism, globalism. And a lot of them are paid actors. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all funded by George Soros. That's been proven many times.
Mm-hmm.
And other Tides foundations or other avenues, but it's George Soros's money.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they're militants. You'll see them walking with communist flags.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this many times. If there's a protest, you'll see Antifa there masked up. You'll see various CUPE unions with their flags, steelworkers unions with their flags. And if you look at what happened in Hamilton last weekend, I was down there.
Mm-hmm.
There was about 100 of them.
Why don't you report for us? Just do some videos. You don't have to show your face. Just say, here, it's me, Eddie Money, here in downtown Hamilton, reporting for the Mike Martin's channel. And here's a little bit of clip. Send me a 2-minute clip. I'll put it up on the channel. I'll have it on, then have you on the show and tell us what's happening in the clip, you know?
If you go to Facts versus Feelings or Noble Savages or What's Up Canada, I know these guys. I'm in those videos. Because usually I'm there as a C3 or Northern Guard member.
Okay.
So I'm actually in it. And yeah, I can give you first-hand accounts if you got questions.
Sure. Okay, it's good to know what's happening on the East Coast and how they're holding up. BC is selling out to the richest investors. We sold all our all our mines in the north, and they're not even hiring Canadians to work. They're only hiring people must be fluent in Mandarin.
It goes way, way, way deeper than that. I'm trying to think of another name, another guy that's done a huge amount of work. You heard about the United We Roll convoy last February?
Yes, I did.
One of the guys who was central to that, rolling with Pat and Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Find Pat King. He's got tons of videos on Facebook if you'll go there.
Okay, Pat King. Okay, we'll check him out.
And he's got some really nasty stuff that's been exposed. Like, remember how the soybean products? Soybean has been. China's not supposed to be buying soybean.
Yeah.
That's a crock. There's shiploads of it going out.
Of course there is. Whatever the media tells you, if China's not buying soybean, that means they're buying soybean. Oh, Chinese are not taking over our housing market, that means they are. You know what I'm saying? When they say, oh, the price of gas is going to go down, hopefully, because the price of oil is going down, the price of gas is going to go up.
Well, what the Chinese have done by crashing the price of soybean, farmers are going bankrupt. So guess what? There's going to be a lot of farmland for sale. Guess who's going to buy it up?
Our CPP friends, our CCP friends.
So you're aware of the what the hell? What is it? What does it call? Stand for the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Where we've given up all of our democratic rights.
Yeah, with what little rights we have, we're already losing them. But you know what? What you reap, you sow. You know that. And it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But the people, I think the voice of the people, I think people could only stand up for so much or could let it happen for so long until we either A, vote in the right person, B, just start having underground meetings and start to look at how can we fix this problem, because now it's getting way out of hand. And once you got a little bit of money backing up some of these new parties that are going to start showing up, or new organizations that are going to start showing up by the people for the people, then you start like a grassroots movement. Jesse Ventura brought it up a million times. If you could get a good, solid grassroots movement to get these people out of these wars, to get ourselves out of these wars, what the heck are we even doing there? All this other stuff. There's other ways, to become prosperous. There are ways. We don't need to do what we're doing now because it's obviously not working.
Hey, do you follow any work from Duke Willis or the Mythos Canada?
No, I watch unhinged Canadian radical guy. What's that funny guy? Trudeau Cringe channel.
Oh, the Justin Cringe channel. Okay.
Yeah, he's been on my show a few times. That guy's a really nice guy.
Yeah, I met him when Kevin J. Johnson was running to be mayor of Mississauga.
Okay.
So I did have the opportunity to meet him.
Good. That's good.
And I believe he's friends with Derek Rance.
Derek, I've spoken to Derek a few times too. He's very hardcore when it comes to exposing things.
As we should all be.
Very
This is our
hardcore.
country.
Very hardcore. True Canadian to the heart. True Canadian to
And,
the heart.
and how about your Canadian land registry? Do you guys, when you guys have the land title for your house,
Mm-hmm.
is that still held by the British Columbia government, or is it another private company?
I think it's the British Columbia government holds it.
Okay. Because here in Ontario and Manitoba, it's been outsourced, and there's a whole bunch of corruption going on in there.
Oh,
Land's being sold to foreign entities. Titles being stolen.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I bought my house and I have a land title registry. I have all my stuff when I bought it. So the bank doesn't hold it because I don't have a lien on the house.
Okay. Would be good. It's maybe you guys are still have your land registry under the British Columbia government.
I think it is. I think it still is. The British Columbian Land Registry Title Act.
Yeah. So you guys are still safe for a while until they bring in this private corporation to do it for you.
Oh, God. Anyways. So, Eduardo here. Eddie is going to keep me up tonight worrying again.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
You've got no debt. You got your health.
Mm-hmm.
You got a little bit of money stashed away. You got lots of gold and silver. You're set.
Yeah, but I'm just worried about my children, right?
Hey, as long as they can work and have fun working, they'll do fine.
Yeah. I hope God hears you. I really do.
Well, kids are a mirror image of their parents, right?
Right. Yeah, they see me go to my shop every day. They see me do my thing every day. They see me, take out the trash. They see me do chores around the house. They see me help out, so they see the dad figure here at the house 100%.
And you're teaching them how to do all the stuff like the gardening. You're Portuguese, so you must have a garden.
I have a garden. I have everything when it comes to gardening. All the different shovels, all the different picks. Yeah, and I barbecue a lot too, so.
And you know how to make your own wine?
Yes, I do. My dad taught me how to make wine a long time ago in my early teenage years.
Yeah, I had to do it too when I was a kid.
Yeah, my dad taught me how to make wine. That was like, he said, you have to make wine. This is crucial. If you don't make your own wine, then you're not a true Portuguese.
Hey, absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah. Are you what's your background? You're obviously of European descendants.
My parents are from former Yugoslavia, Slovenia to be specific.
Okay. Yeah, you guys have your little tie-ins there with which administration was that? Was that the George Walker Bush administration started conflict in your country?
It was actually socialist / communist. It was Marshal Tito ran that country into the ground.
Who was the president of the United States at the time? Was it old Bush? The old Bush?
They split up. They split up in 91. 91, 92, the war started.
It was the old Bush. That was the old Bush regime. Yeah, that was during old Bush. I think he played a part in that country, arming one of the sides, right?
Well, I know everyone in southern Yugoslavia can't stand the Clintons because
exactly
they bombed the shit out of.
I have a friend from there, and he told me the same thing. They hate the Clintons. Yeah.
And Melania Trump is actually born in a small town about 30 kilometers from where my mom was raised.
Cool. That's good.
So,
that's really good. A lot of beautiful women come from that part of the world. Flawless, beautiful women come from that part of the world.
There's beautiful women everywhere.
No, I understand.
But it's what's behind the ears that's important.
That's right.
We're
correct.
in trouble in Toronto.
All right, Eduardo, I'm going to let you go. Eddie, thank you so much. I really appreciate you calling in. Keep us on the pulse. Let us know what's going on down there when it comes to striking, factory shutdowns. Just let us know what's going on in the eastern part of Canada. Keep an eye on New York, too, if you don't mind, if there's anything going on, okay?
Yeah, so I guess you got no desire to come back to Brampton, eh?
I have my grandma still alive and my aunts are, so I'll come and visit next year.
Okay, so you're staying out in the West Coast then?
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. I live in a small town surrounded by mountains. I got the local stalker. I got the local Everything's local. Everybody knows everybody. I went to what's that festival we went to tonight? Oktoberfest. I knew everybody there, like 300 people. I knew every single person there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's one reason why I don't want to go out west, because it sounds so great.
Oh, it's the greatest thing to happen. Like, it's so good. It actually feels like I'm a Canadian proper. The Canada I grew up in when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. It's like that same Canada.
Oh, back in the days when nobody was racist and nobody cared, and
Yeah,
people
exactly.
just
When
did their
everybody
own
loved
thing.
each other regardless, and everyone talked to each other.
Yeah, and there's tolerance was all over the place, and
Yeah, and you would say a Jewish man and a black man and a Canadian walk into a bar joke, and no one will get offended.
the good old days.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Eddie. You take care. God bless you, okay?
Yep. See ya.
See ya. So that's our man, Eduardo, first-time caller in the show. I really appreciate that call. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Eddie, for calling in, man. Wow. So, now...
My name's Ric Flair.
All right, let me go back to the comments. Sorry, guys, I'm not avoiding you guys in the comments. I just got kind of talking a lot there with Eddie there. Good guy. Let's see what's happening in the comments. Yeah, man, you're burning the night with Mike in the Night. Mike in the Night. What is this saying here? Death and taxes are reliable. Laugh out loud. That's cognitive rue. And cognitive rue is very important because he's always participating in the comment section. Sorry, as Andrea Nicotina, Andre Nicotina, Nick in the house. Is Zombie Apocalypse Gary still here? I see him in the comments. We got Supreme Cannon in the comments. Yeah, we'll give him a call. I wanted to get Stephen Williams on the show. I haven't heard from him in a while. He keeps commenting on my videos, but I keep trying to get him on the show. I don't know what is happening with him. I wonder if Harold's watching the show. Harold Gnome. I wonder if he's watching it, because he was the that software engineer for Nortel, like a big computer guy there for Nortel. It's really to get him on the good to get him on the show once in a while. So we got Supreme Cannon. I'll probably get in. It looks like his Skype is offline right now. And what else we got here? Trying to see who.
My name's Ric Flair.
Yep. Which woos do we have here?
Woo!
All right. It is Mike in the Night. Been going live for an hour and a half. Oh, Mike in the Night. My Skype is on, Mike. I'll double check it, though. I just checked it. It showed that it's do not disturb. Do not disturb. Disturb. Looks like Lord Humongous didn't get a notification. A lot of people are not getting notifications. Nobody, like 3% are only getting notifications of my subscribers. And there's a lot of people really upset about that. I even had someone write a long-winded email to YouTube. I don't know. They carbon pasted me on the email stating, look, I like watching this guy. I only watch YouTube for specific channels. You keep forcing crap down my channel, down my throat that I don't want to watch. I mean, it gets boring watching people pour gravy down their pants, you know? Yeah, Bernie had a heart attack. See if his millions will save him. No. We're all destined to die, folks. I lost my dad a few months ago. 2 months ago. And I'm having a really hard time getting over this. I have a feeling that this is going to burden me till the day I die. I'm having a really tough time getting over the loss of my father. So guys, you know, like my dad always used to say, like Papa Martins would say, make good memories on this earth. Because when you go, you don't take your millions, you don't take your house, you don't take any gold. Heck, you don't even take your wife or your soccer team. You take your memories with you. That's it. So make sure you make good ones here. Because if you want a good, memorable afterlife and joy and happiness and look back and say, I just don't want people to reach that time in life where they're at that time where they regret it. I don't want to see that happen to a lot of people. I want people to say, I did it. God bless you. I love you guys. You know what I'm saying? Nick saying after 2 to 3 years, the sharpness goes away, but there will still be a whole mic. Yeah, I know. Cognitive Rue saying, we are, whoa, where's that? We are all gonna die, but so far I'm immortal. I do, and then Solid Dexter saying, I do feel the 2020s protest culture will increase to the point where political centers like DC will be overrun with protesters every day, make tourism impossible. Yeah, but they're protesting crap. They're not protesting, like, okay, even when they were protesting Save the Whales and all that stuff back in the day, okay, all right, these people have their angles, sure. But now they're protesting the most ludicrous crap you could ever imagine. We got Abafield saying, just came back from seeing The Joker. Good movie, very timely. Our generation's taxi driver. Yep. Could it be our generation's taxi driver? Or could it be our generation's Godfather? Yeah, Zombie Apocalypse Gary, ZAG. We all live on borrowed time. Need to make the most rather than be unhappy and follow the herd off a cliff. That's right. We all leave the physical realm, Mike. Be righteous and the spiritual life will be rewarding, I think. No, it will. Yeah. All right.
Woo!
All right.
Last year, I spent more money on spilt liquor.
Yeah, I spilled lots of money on spilt liquor, all right? That's, what's his name there? Ric Flair. Guys, sometimes I don't get all your messages on Skype until later. I don't know why. I don't get it. I can't tell you why. It just does this. I don't know why it does this, guys. I'm sorry. I sometimes get your messages later, and I see you're trying to message me, so I'm gonna try my best to get your. Oh yeah, Harold, are you in the comments? Harold, are you awake? Are you watching the show right now, Harold? Get you on for 10 minutes to give us a little bit of play-by-play action on what you think is going to happen in these elections coming up. Because, guys, this is... Oh, Harold, is it okay if I call you, dude? I just don't want to wake anybody up, you know? So... Okay, so we're going to call Harold here real quick. We just need to know what the heck is going on his neck of the woods. Hello. Harold, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear the background catching up there. Just lower your volume there for 3 seconds there.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. Can you tell us what the heck is happening in this election? We're getting rumors of a 50-50 race. We're getting rumors of the Liberal Party might just take this. What the heck is going on?
I still think Scheer's got a majority for sure. There might be a story breaking on Monday. Apparently, Trudeau, he was at a school in Vancouver when he was in his 20s or something, and he wasn't really a teacher. He was like a mascot.
Mm-hmm.
And one year...
Like a mascot, like the Toronto Raptors mascot, like the dinosaur mascot?
No. He just hung out with the school and buddied with the students, right? Oh. Not sure what his position was, but one year he had to leave early. So right now the lawyers this weekend are trying to make sure the story doesn't go through. So I don't know what's going to happen, but anyway, I still think Andrew's he's got it for sure. Because my theory is that conservatives don't want to admit they're conservatives. So when the poll calls them, they're going to say, well, I'm going to vote Trudeau, because I think there's so many people can't stand conservatives that they may lose their job or they're going to be treated badly at work.
Well, I got Abafield here in the comments saying, yep, big story coming out Monday according to Twitter. And Twitter never lies. I'm joking.
Yeah. Also, I heard another story. I can't confirm it.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Canada, Nat Gas, there's a Canadian Natural Gas Corporation or something, and there's a big construction project been approved for the West Coast. And it's between 40 billion and 80 billion private money going into it. And I heard from two different sources that Trudeau will not let the Canadian employees bid on this contract. He's already outsourced it to China, even though China is going to dump their steel illegally in Canada. And the way they're going to do the construction, they're going to do it in modules in China. So almost all the jobs will go to China and they'll ship it over here. But I don't know if this is just a proposal or whether it went through, or I don't know. That's something else I heard too, right?
Well, are you sitting down for this one?
Yeah.
No Canadian hires for 4 years at Chinese-owned mine in BC. And a prerequisite to work in the mine, tens of thousands of miners in northern BC are no longer working because Chinese workers are mandatory to work there. And to be one of the prerequisites to work at this mine, Mandarin must be, you must be fluent in Mandarin.
Oh, man.
So that's what's happening. This article is from 2012, and it's been updated in 2016 and 2018. It's been updated. So HD Mining International, building a large coal mine in northern British Columbia using Chinese workers only, will take 4 years before it hires even a single Canadian. And you know what? From 2012 to today, there's still not a single Canadian working there. And not only that, they're using our healthcare system when someone gets hurt on site.
Yeah, but you know what? This is not the Chinese fault. This is our fault.
Right? Oh, no, I'm not blaming. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm just not in favor of communism.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, it's coming to Canada. Trudeau's here.
Well, did you hear the show at the beginning when Evan called from Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Guys driving around and picking them up in vans and putting them in these facilities?
Oh, man, poor Hong Kong, man. It's such a great nation, such a great city, and then it's just going under, man. Yeah.
So, okay. So what do you, so I know that a lot of the Chinese communists that are, this is what's happening in BC, and it's on the news. I'm not making this up. It's on a lot of BC communist, Chinese are actually handing out leaflets with the liberal logo on it, telling the Chinese to vote liberal, the communist Chinese to vote liberal, right? So that there was a couple of scuffles that broke out in downtown Vancouver where you had the anti-Chinese people from Hong Kong fighting with the Chinese, fist fights on the street.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. You have a lot of people like Chinese Hong Kongers saying go back to China, and then this gets the Chinese Communist Red Party in Vancouver mad, and they just start fist fighting on the streets.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about where this country is going. I don't want to go communist. Nobody wants to go communist, and I mean, where do you? I mean, you got a lot of education. You got a lot of.
Mike, that doesn't mean anything.
No, but you got a lot of knowledge. You got a lot of wisdom. Tell us in your mind.
To talk to anybody I know, they're not going to agree with that.
Tell us, what do you think is going to happen, honestly?
On the election?
Yeah, let's start with the election first. You honestly think Scheer is going to win?
Oh, I right from the beginning, yeah.
Okay.
Because you see, Trudeau, I've talked to people. I go to dim sum every Wednesday, right? And everybody there is a lefty except for me, right? And they think I'm the biggest moron on the face of the earth, right? Mm-hmm. But they have educated me. They have educated me so much, and I know so much more in politics now. Mm-hmm. What I think is happening is that half the country believes all conservatives are racist. So you see, now Trudeau really screwed up. He screwed up so bad in so many areas that he's lost at least 40% of his support. Now, these people are not going to vote conservative no matter what, because they've been brainwashed that all conservatives are racist, right? So they're going to split the vote, or they're not going to vote. There's a lot of people on the left are not going to vote. I've heard this from many, many people.
Okay.
So Trudeau's lost 40% of his support, and Andrew Scheer really hasn't lost much of his support. You see, the DNA is this. Half the people are born left, half the people are born right. That doesn't mean you stay left or right your whole life. It just means you might start to use your brain and you go from one side to the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how old you are and stuff like that. But basically, 50% typically will vote left and 50% will vote right. But not everybody shows up to vote, or they vote some other. Therefore, you can only maximum get 40% per party. Trudeau, I think, is going to get 25% in most of the ridings, and Scheer is going to get 35% in most of the ridings. That's what I think.
Yeah.
That includes Ontario and Quebec. But people think that Ontario is going to go liberal. I don't think so. I don't think Quebec's going to go liberal either. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Why is Michael Moore weighing in on Canadian politics? You know that Tubalard that makes those videos, the bowling for Columbine and stuff?
Yeah.
Why is he now making a video? What's the point? A filmmaker, Michael Moore, weighs in on Canadian politics. So who is he? Michael Moore has been a fan of Canada ever since he mailed a VHS copy of his first documentary, Roger and Me, which was really good. If you haven't seen Roger and Me, watch it. This was before Michael Moore was bought out. In plain brown paper bags at the Vancouver International Film Festival, and it went to win a top prize. So the filmmaker, who has long viewed America's northern neighbor as a more decent humanitarian version of his home country, says it's crushing to see photographs of Liberal leader Justin Trudeau made up in a blackface. So we're living with President Donald Trump, and we look at the North with such heavy envy. You don't have to live with Trump. You have a man who greets refugees at the airport. You have someone who speaks kindness and compassion. So here he is, Michael Moore, weighing in on this. So, like, you could always, expect him to always lean to the left, right?
That's for sure. That guy, oh my goodness.
Where do you think Che Guevara would weigh in on this if he was still alive?
Oh, he loved Trudeau, He volunteered to work for Trudeau.
Yeah. Yeah, if Che Guevara basically was still alive, he would probably be his personal bodyguard and entourage.
Did you know Rachel Notley used to have a watch with a Che Guevara picture in it?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, but when she got elected, somebody told her that's not a good idea, so she took it off.
Mm-hmm.
But
so here he is, guys, for people that don't know, Che Guevara.
Yeah.
Socialist slash red slash communist slash revolutionary.
Yeah, apparently he enjoyed his work too.
Yeah.
And people look up to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, oh my God.
I read a few of his books to understand that. I have it's the Encyclopedia of Che Guevara. I kind of read on it to understand his time in the Congo and understand his different kind of mindsets on it's all basically glorified Marxism, and it's all about basically enslavement class, but in a way where it doesn't feel like slavery, but a working class for the government, more of it's just he goes into all kinds of stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I've been to Cuba, and everywhere is Che Guevara. I have a silver coin with Che Guevara on it. I was looking at it the other day from my relics I collected when I was in Cuba. Yeah. So now, climate change. How do you feel about it without swearing?
I think it's one of the stupidest things I ever heard, And I just can't believe people can't figure out that you need CO2 for plants,
Yeah, how the tree's gonna continue. if half of us get wiped out, a majority of the trees will sit there as empty shells and not it just die.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people don't know that if we got rid of all of our vehicles, that the trees will have a really tough time surviving.
We need more CO2. It's well known that we need more CO2.
Yeah, that's the problem. And what saves us once in a while? A lot of people don't know this, Harold, but what saves us a lot sometimes is the odd volcano that kind of keeps us up to speed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My concern is, what in your opinion should these political parties be focused on? Housing, affordability to live, or climate change, or gender studies?
Neither.
I think housing, actually. Housing is kind of important.
Well, housing, yeah, that'd be very important. But I think number one is pipelines.
Yeah, okay, pipelines. I'm for that too. I believe.
Yeah.
I believe we need to export our oil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And yeah, they got to do something about housing like this. Can't have these billions coming in laundering their money, right? I don't mind, Chinese come in, they buy a prop. I don't mind that, but when they're using it to launder money, they got to say, what the hell are people doing?
$200 billion.
I mean, really?
In laundered money across Canada.
Yeah.
And there's 2.3 billion laundered through our casinos.
Yeah. Well, you help me a lot with my arguments. I tell people in Toronto, there's 100,000 empty units or not fully vacant units. And they're saying, what are you talking about? You're an idiot. So I said, well, Google it. Better dwelling, do it.
Go to Mike Effin Martins. Tell him to go to Mike Effin Martins. It's right here. I just did it today. I covered it today. Where is it? Under housing. Here it is. Look, over 1.34 million empty homes across Canada.
Yeah.
I read the article today, and it's from a reputable source. I think it's CBC or CBS or Canadians Broadcasting Crap. I don't know, one of those. And yes, and it's like there. Okay.
Yeah, but you know what I didn't understand about that article? You said short-term rentals. Are they talking about Airbnb?
Probably, but that doesn't help out our country in any way or shape or form, because the people that are collecting that money don't even pay taxes in our country.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, right?
Yeah, one time at Dim Sum, they were talking about the British and the Portuguese, and they were saying some things good about the Portuguese.
No, the Portuguese were different. The Portuguese, they colonized very differently. Portuguese were more seen as expansionists because they feared Napoleon and they feared losing their sovereignty. So that's why Brazil obviously was one of their main countries. Angola was one of their main countries. Mozambique was one of their main countries. Portuguese were 288 years longer in Asia than any other European power. And the Portuguese mapped out Asia and Australia, and then they say that the Dutch did. No, the Dutch weren't even nothing when the Portuguese were already in Macau. The Dutch didn't even exist when the Portuguese were in Macau, So Portuguese got denounced because they refused to trade with the East Indian Trading Company, selling drugs.
But you know what the Chinese liked about the Portuguese? When Hong Kong was given over to the Chinese, apparently the British took away their British citizenship, but the Portuguese didn't.
No. That's why a lot of Portuguese now, a lot of the people living in Macau have Portuguese dual citizenship. And there's been a couple of support ships, one from Brazil and one from Portugal that has already gone there and returned once, and they're going to go back again to pick up people from Macau that want to go to Portugal, or if they want to go to Mozambique, or if they want to go to Brazil.
Yeah.
So they have a choice to get out of that cesspool if they choose to.
Yeah.
So Harold, we're going to probably have a political talk on the day of the election. So keep close to your Skype so we could do some live counts and probably have you on the panel on and off to tell us what's going on and who's winning in what provinces and what areas are happening. Guys, don't panic. We'll do this for the United States too, okay? I'll get some Americans on here. We'll do it for Australia. They just had their election, but we'll do it again for Australia when it comes. New Zealand when it comes. when Jacinta gets voted out and see what happens if they can put somebody more leaning towards the conservative side in New Zealand, and we'll do the same thing for the UK. So it's not just Canada, it's like the entire Commonwealth, because it's a big domino effect that affect every English-speaking country, right? Because remember, we are open for free trade. Come and buy us out, and that's what's been crippling the Commonwealth. All right, Harold, thanks so much for taking your time to talk to us.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
God bless
Bye.
you, bud.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
That is Harold. So yeah, he's against the whole climate change thing. Yeah, guys, it's getting pretty hectic out there. Let's get Supreme Cannon on the show. I hope he didn't get arrested in the meantime. I hope the Raven's listening to us while he's at work, because I know he's at work, but I know he tunes into the show. So let's go to a few messages here before we get Supreme Cannon on. This is from Willy Wonka, who is in South Carolina. Hey, Mike, listening to live right now. Dude, you're the best. Keep rocking, keep rocking. And I really hope Canada votes in a conservative party. We need Canada to get back on track here. Even I'm an American, and I believe that Canada could be doing a lot better. And that's coming from Willy Wonka there in South Carolina. And we got Jonah from the Isle of Man in the UK region. Keep up the good work. Listening to you at work, working nights with Mike in the Night. And then we got K2116 from Sydney, Australia, saying, "Good job, Mike. We all love you here in Australia. Keep up the good fight." So we're getting a lot of messages here pouring in. And don't forget to join us live. Also, if you can't comment on the live chat, that's fine. You could watch the rebroadcast, which the rebroadcast has been doing really well. Mike in the Night, what is happening? So, first domino to be lined up. The first domino is Canada. Canadian elections. Boom. We already had the Australian elections, okay? Australia's getting worse. They're easing up on right here. It's right here. Right here. Stress test is now dead in Australia. They are looking to keep this housing going because their economies are pretty much backed by housing, and that's crippling. Absolute crippling. Yeah, we'll be covering the Brexit, guys. Keep me up to date on Brexit, the date and all that stuff. We'll have that going live too during the Brexit movement, and you can tune into. Hopefully, Mike in the Night will be on a good day. I could do Mike in the Night. We could discuss the whole Brexit movement and what's happening, and maybe get some people from the United Kingdom to call in to the show to give us a little bit of an insight on what they feel. There's a couple of people here from the UK in the chat, so I know right now it is, I think, like 3:30 in the morning there, so it's really tough to get people in from the UK at this time. Anon says, Isle of Man is a good place to set up a bank account. Worked for a company that operate banking-wise from there. Yeah, I got quite a few people listening to me from Isle of Man, actually. I have a lot of people messaging me from there, saying, "Hey, Mike, you're cool, man. I'm on the Isle of Man." Like, and I had to actually I knew where it was. I just had to make sure I knew where it was, just to sharpen up on some of the geography there. Oh, okay. This is from Beatrice and Leticia. Mike, you're teaching us English. Your English is so slow and perfect. We are in... I can't. There's a spelling mistake there, and with a number. I think she was typing... Oh, Falkland Islands. Oh, okay. She has a number 1 in there and a number 3. I guess they were typing Falkland Islands. I didn't know people lived on those islands. I wasn't sure about those islands. I know I was watching The Simpsons once, and Krusty the Clown had a special on the Falkland Islands getting invaded or something. But anyways, it's beside the fact. All right, let's see if we can get Supreme on. I hope he's doing okay. I hope he hasn't gotten arrested.
Hey, buddy.
Yo, what's up, dog? How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm out of jail. I'm happy to report. So all's well.
It's so good to hear from you. How are things?
They're okay. They're slowing down in my sector. I'm just going to turn this volume down here a little bit. Yeah, it's starting to slow down. It's we're busy right now. Got a full dance card probably for a couple of months, and then after that, it's looking kind of patchy. So yeah, I think we're in for it. I think it's coming.
So, before we kick off anything, you remember how did you feel when you read? I received a cease and desist, right?
Yeah.
How did you feel when you read that?
I just shook my head, man. That was just bizarre. I mean, it was obviously not legal letterhead. It was. I don't know if he thought he was making a citizen's arrest or what. I don't know, but it was bad.
Yeah, because like I said, I told you, a guy walked in and says, from the Commonwealth of the Colonies of British Columbia and the Crown of Canada and the courts and the Crown of the colonies within the Commonwealth, within the Queen of England, I hereby serve you. And I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, and he takes a picture of me with his phone. Huh?
Was this guy Judge Begbie or what? If it doesn't have the
I went to the cops and said, this guy came into my store. I closed up my shop, said, be back in 10 minutes. Went to the cop shop down the street and said, look, this guy came in and said he was part of this and that and the Queen of England and blah, blah, blah. And it's on film. And the cop, you know what the cop said? This is good. He's not breaking any laws. And please come. We have real police work to do. We don't have time to deal with you.
Well, I think that's in the end. That's good news. I mean, the harassment part is not obviously, but
now I know how far I could go. So then, when I need to back myself up with something like that and walk into someone's place and say, as the colonies of British Columbia and the Crown of England and within the boundaries within our Lady of Elizabeth III and on this grand day of whatever, I hereby serve you. So when they say, well, you can't say that. Yes, I can. I went to the police. They said it's allowed.
Yeah, they could do that. Well, I mean, anybody could bring you anything. You could take one of those right back to him. You challenge him to a duel with pistols.
Yeah, with the Commonwealth behind me.
That's right. Yeah. As the Queen's representative of Merit Toys and Games, I challenge you to a duel, sir. Slap him with a glove and swords or pistols.
Woo! Yeah. All right. Let's get on to some more important stuff here. Let's get back to this climate change since we last spoke is really getting out of hand, dude. It's getting to a point where they're shoving it down our throats and nobody's allowed to oppose it.
No, well, the usual media organs obviously aren't prepared to entertain any kind of contrary opinion. That doesn't mean that the contrary opinions aren't out there. I think that the nabobs of politics and culture know very well the resistance against it. You see, Mike, the thing is that most of the things that have been imposed on us in the last 50 years, nobody voted for. I've said that many times. They just do it anyway. But they're getting to the point where they're getting some pushback. And the idea of order out of chaos assumes that you control the chaos. But there's other forces in this chaos that are rising up. And it's beginning to, it's becoming unstable. I mean, we see the instability. I don't think they've got this all completely under control.
It's these super committees that are making the decisions.
They're making these decisions and then they try to push them. But I mean, the government of Canada has already had, I think, half a dozen provinces have launched court challenges over this carbon tax. And I think the Supreme Court of Canada has ruled in Ottawa's favor at this point. But if we get a conservative government, or if even if you have a liberal minority, they're not going to be able to sit on the fence like liberals usually do. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to rely on either the Green Party or the NDP or whoever has the whip hand of power at that point, because they're certainly not going to unite with the PPC or anybody else. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to move further left. I'm not happy about that. But frankly, the right side of the political spectrum needs to harden up a lot. They need to put some iron in their spine. Mm-hmm. We need people that will actually fight. They had the same problem in the States. They've had the same problem everywhere. The political Overton window, it's called, the bubble of acceptable conversation has drifted so far to the left that, half of the electorate in these nations is completely left out in the cold. They're not having it. So you have other political rivals who see the opportunity to pick up that electorate and use it to gain real power. Trump did it, right? The Brexit thing, I think, caught them completely by surprise. They've obviously been trying to nullify it for the last 3 years, and it still has not been nullified. I mean, Brexit hasn't happened, but at this point, all Boris has to do is just hold the line until they run out of time. We've got another 3 weeks, and the thing goes through.
So I'm trying to find this Tim Ball guy here. This guy who's been basically got shut down in the BC courts because of I can't find it. The Google has a good way of scrubbing information. It's modernized book burning. It's how the Nazis were burning books back in the 1930s, in the late 30s and into the 40s. This is the same thing they're doing when they're erasing people. Digital information is the same thing like book burning. There's no goddamn difference.
Sure. No, there's no difference at all. They're just trying to turn you into an unperson. They're just trying to either pretend that you don't exist, or, if they hold the high ground in politics and in finance and in the media, as they have for the last 100 years, then basically you could be completely right. You could completely debunk them from the word go. And, it doesn't matter. They just do whatever. And in some ways, and I was just having this conversation with Solid Extra in the comments, I think sometimes they do it just to flex on us. It's like, that's right, we're doing all this. We're going to make you live in pods and eat bugs and whatever else and drive electric go-karts and whatever. And you'll have no choice in the matter. We're going to make you do it because we know what's best. And it's got nothing to do with, it's not because we care about you or care about the planet. It's like, no, we want control, and we want you to understand we have control. The problem is, what comes before a fall? Pride comes before a fall, right? Hubris before nemesis. These people are stupid. They're not the geniuses that came up with all this stuff 100 years ago. Those guys are dead. Okay, these are their kids and grandkids, and they're not bright. They're really not. They're used to winning. They're not used to the plebs talking back and actually making it stick. They have to maintain at least the appearance of democracy, because even their side will turn on them if they push too far. So this like I've said before, this order out of chaos thing, they assume at all times that they control the chaos. Even their controlled opposition, okay, which at this point is supposedly the right-wing parties, which have all drifted to the left, people are revolting. They don't seem to understand the enormous demographic that is completely against everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
I've said many times, they jumped the shark in the mid-90s as far as I'm concerned. This is just it's just a gong show. They don't even try to sell it anymore. They just say, well, this is how it's going to be, and you have to get used to it. And no, I don't think so.
We got Mr. E in the comments, our correspondent there in Hong Kong. And he's saying everything at ground level in the central areas is completely wrecked.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they're smashing in windows in Hong Kong, and they are having obviously no confidence in the government, and people are pulling out money from the banks. And that's that article that we read from was it Zero Hedge? They are on the money with that, because our friend Evan on the ground told us that the bank machines are out of money.
Yeah, well, people, when things get uncertain, people want their money. They pull it out. If the if the Hong Kong authorities were smart, then they made sure that they printed a lot of extra dollars, because they want to make sure that people can get that money. Otherwise, the panic will accelerate. As soon as the word gets around that there is no cash, then things start to go wrong, because at that point in time, cash becomes more valuable than anything else, simply because you can't get it. The value of cash goes up, but that means that the value of everything that's not cash will collapse. It'll become worthless, and that's a panic.
Well, last time I checked was last year. I think it was in 2018. The last time I checked, Hong Kong was one of the very few countries that had over 90% digital currency over actual cash.
Yeah, yeah, and that in a lot of ways makes sense. You know, their financial system is well run. They're the third largest financial hub in the world up to this point. I mean, the Chinese they want Shanghai to have that role now.
Hmm.
So, and Shanghai is
Well,
obviously
there's
very
no
very well
confidence. The
developed
people
now.
have Western countries have no confidence in Shanghai.
No, they don't, and for good reason. You know, Chinese culture is full of corruption, and you know, even though officials are occasionally getting executed, like that dude that hoarded all that gold, holy cow! Well, then automatically the question starts coming out. Well, okay, if this is just a mayor of one town, you know, how many others have stolen from us? Right.
Right.
So the Chinese government, the People's Republic, the communist government has a serious crisis in confidence. They've got a military of 4 million. Obviously, they're not going to send them all to Hong Kong, but you know, a couple 100,000 soldiers could lock the place down pretty tight. But they're doing everything ahead of schedule. They're not supposed to be in there doing that. I suspect it's got something to do financial reasons why they're doing that, because they're creating enormous trouble for themselves. If they go in and have a Tiananmen Square 2.0, okay, China's global supply chain is going to dry up.
Yeah.
People will not trade with them. It won't be a good look. If the US pulls, everyone else will too.
Once
Because
you have
the
a
US will tell
Venezuela
them.
2.0 in China, it's over. It's done.
Yeah.
You're going to start seeing that whole Silk Road thing follow. You're going to start seeing everything, and you're going to see the countries that allow China to build through their country. Those countries take back their roads and their land or whatever they allow China to do. And
Yes.
except Canada, though, Canada will leave it as is. But other countries will say, "Screw you! You're this, and you're doing this to your people. You're persecuting Christians. Screw you." You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. There's going to be big problems there. Now, it's also kind of a Mexican standoff, though, Mike, because all of these Chinese assets that are held, you know, mostly in housing and things like that, but also harbors, you know, railroads, things like that,
Take it back.
mines.
Take it all back.
They could take it all back, or they can freeze the assets.
Wow!
The
Don't freeze
problem
it.
is,
Take it back. Give it back to the people.
well, I'd like to see that kind of a thing too. It's just that it still comes down to it's a violation of property rights. Now, whether they should have had the right to come and buy property in the Western world is you can debate that all day
No,
long.
you could
but
just you could penalize all the illegal ones that were involved in money laundering, and you could free up $200 billion in real estate overnight, pretty much.
yeah, yeah, you can do that. I think the problem is that so much of the Western banking system depends on the housing market, and if all of this real estate suddenly becomes worthless, or they have to have a forced sale of it, it gets seized by the government. If all that housing gets seized by the government, that's not good news, because what's the government going to do with it? Well, they'll just give it to whoever they please, right? And it won't be the right people. That will cause, if you had at this point even a 10 or 20% drop in real estate prices, okay, our banking system is in serious, serious trouble.
Well, they don't have anything. They don't have any liquidity to hedge against the crash.
No, they don't. And if they don't have the liquidity and it spirals into a major recession or turns into a depression at a point like that, then yeah, you're going to start getting that helicopter money they kept threatening. You're going to have direct transfers to consumers, which all sounds good. Hey, you're all going to get a check for $1,000 or $1,500 a month. Isn't that great? But of course, what's going to happen to the value of that money right away?
It's absolutely worthless.
Worthless.
We have.
Yeah,
Zombie
it's going to happen
Apocalypse
anyway.
Gary saying all the world markets are connected, so if one major market falls, they all fall. Then we got Ryan saying MSM is all paid off. Just read from teleprompters. Mr. E saying they alluded Taiwan is next. Mr. E just sent me 10 Hong Kong dollars saying on Super Chat saying it is a no-win scenario for sides concerned.
Yeah, I think he's right. I think Evan is correct about that. I did see the Chinese have launched the first one or two amphibious landing craft, and of course they're intended to land on Taiwan. Now, Taiwan has a military 2 million strong. It's about half the size of mainland China. They have all U.S. gear. They apparently were just approved to buy more M1 tanks and F-16 fighters. If the Chinese launched a war on Taiwan, they will be a world pariah. It's going to be I mean, I hope it doesn't come to a global war. Good God, we don't need any more of those. We really don't.
Well, I think we're in a position right now that it's not gonna. I think it would be limited nuclear, limited thermal nuclear. I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to be very, But then you see Pakistan saying, well, if the world's distracted with this, we're just going to nuke India, and India's going to go back to Pakistan and say the same thing. And then you're going to have problems like Iraq going back and taking back Kuwait. A lot of people don't know the Iraq-Kuwaiti story. A lot of people don't
Yeah.
know what really happened. A lot of people don't understand that Kuwait was a province of Iraq, and the Allies after World War II divided Iraq from Kuwait.
Yeah, that's right.
A
And
lot of
during
people
the
don't know that. It's like
no,
me,
they don't.
you, Supreme Cannon, and what's his name there, Apocalypse Gary and Mr. E and all the people here, Lord Humongous, going to California and separating it from the rest of America and saying this is our country now. What do you think America's going to do? They're going to send the National Guard in and take us out.
Yeah, they say, yeah, I don't think so, guys. We're gonna have our state back. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Saddam Hussein was telling the truth, and
Yeah.
he actually had a point because the Kuwaitis were slant drilling and they were sucking oil out of Iraqi wells
Right.
or out of Iraqi fields as well. During the Iran-Iraq War, they'd extended something like 75 or 80 billion dollars in war loans to Iraq while they were fighting that war. It was Saddam Hussein, and it was stupid, but I think he was trying to take advantage of the chaos because it was just after the revolution in Iran, and he was
Right.
trying to take advantage of it, and it didn't go very well. So
You
it was
gotta
just
remember
turned
that
into
was
a
a bad time to take the capital because, if you can't seize the capital, you're not going to get anywhere. And the problem
No.
with that war was that Iran, even right after that revolution, was still considered a first world nation for at least a couple of more years because they had the infrastructure in Iran. Iran was just like any other city in America before the revolution.
Yeah, well, yeah, it had been very Americanized. I mean, under the Shah, obviously, it was a dictatorship with a secret police and everything else. But you can keep people happy as long as you've got a certain amount of prosperity. Even the Soviet Union could generate a certain amount of prosperity when it all involved how much coal and steel you could produce. In the early 20th century, the Soviet Union didn't do too bad. I mean, you had progress of some sort, but of course, it came at the cost of speech control, and the Orthodox churches were all closed. The 1,000-year-old national faith was oppressed. Not to mention the Islamic Soviet republics, where that would have been all repressed too. It all came at a price, and the same thing with Iran. As long as things were as long as they were kind of growing and progressing and people were generally being left alone, you had kind of a virtuous cycle. Things started going up. But Iran ran into some trouble. And then, the Ayatollah Khomeini, and who had been in exile for probably a couple of decades, they saw their opportunity to go in and overthrow, and I'm sure that they had foreign help as well.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Or one of our Alphabet's company or Alphabet state-run agencies went in there and took care of it.
Yeah, that's right. They went in and stirred up the trouble, and fired some random shots into a crowd. Nobody knew where they came from, and the next thing you know, you have an uproar. It's possible. The Soviets might have done it.
First question. One.
Sure.
In all fairness, where did all of Gaddafi's gold go? Not the Gaddafi's gold, but Libya's gold. Libya was preparing to launch a gold-backed currency to launch back in the really early 2000s, and Libya hoarded a lot of gold, and a lot of wealth went to its people. Libya was an up-and-coming superpower. And basically, Libya said to the French, we're not paying you duties anymore. We don't owe you anything. And that's when all the ruckus hit. But Libya had the 8th or 9th biggest gold reserve on the planet. Where did it go? I mean, you just can't haul tons and tons of gold on your back. I mean, you just can't truck it. I mean, where did all that gold go?
I think the Americans took it. The Americans took it, or the French took it. One of the European powers, or the Anglosphere powers, took the gold. they helped themselves to it.
Because I was thinking about that the other day. They had a big gold reserve. They were ready to launch and back their currency with an African, like a dinero slash
dinar, the African dinar. Yeah, Gaddafi was really big on African unity.
Yes.
He was trying to, it might maybe creating a United States of Africa, was a little bit unlikely. I mean, he was no Otto von Bismarck,
Okay.
Forming a united Germany was about as likely as a united Africa today. Bismarck pulled it off. Libya couldn't pull it off because, he was dealing with the world controlled by central banks.
That's right.
He had 400.
Steven Stevens is saying that gold was looted by invaders. No. You can't haul 200 tons of gold on your back. In the average invader to take a 25-ounce gold bar and put it in your pocket, you're going to see you walking down the street lopsided. It's very heavy. So I've always wondered, how did they get that gold out? Was it during the time when they were kind of had all the media on catching Gaddafi on the streets while there was the street fights? Or was it when the Americans were breaking all those people out of the prisons and giving them weapons to go fight Gaddafi? Because this is a big deal, because I was thinking about this. That's like the 8th or 9th biggest gold reserve on the planet. How do you move it so quick and so clean?
With convoys of trucks. I mean, if the press isn't covering it, you can go in, you can drive directly in under armed guards, pick up the gold, and leave. For all we know, the Marines did it. We just don't know. We're reasonably sure that part of the reason the place was collapsed so that they could get that gold. And I think it was actually something like 400 tons. It was a pretty substantial amount. But 400 tons is, it's a few 18-wheelers.
Convoys, armed security, helicopters. Sure. It's all foreign stuff going in there. Not local, unless they got smart and used local garbage trucks or something, which I think they will never, ever imagine to be that smart. But, I mean, people saw this happening. I mean, why wasn't any of this on the media or in the news? Because I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, wait a minute, these guys had such a big reserve in gold. Okay, so how did it get transported? Where did it go?
Yeah, well, you can have, it could have been part of the operation to overthrow Gaddafi. It's just, some ships come in, registered to Panama or something like that. They come into Tripoli, and armed militants, in exchange for a couple of pallets of $100 bills, will go in and it's really only a few 18-wheeler loads to haul 400 tons. The pallets aren't stacked real high, but you can haul a lot of pallets on an 18-wheeler.
So we got Zombie Apocalypse Gary saying, now here, this is why I brought up this story, and I wanted to question you on it. Gaddafi trucked it on dump trucks, then not long after he was taken out. Now, that's a rumor that's been floating around the last couple of weeks that I've been hearing through the grapevine, that a lot of this gold was trucked out of Libya, and he headed south to the Congo, from what I've heard.
Oh, well, possibly. Maybe he moved it out of the country to a sympathetic neighbor. It's a long way from Tripoli to the Congo.
Yeah, that's at least 3,000 miles.
Oh, he's got to go south. He's got to go through Chad.
They headed south towards the Congo is what I'm trying to say. They headed that way. I'm not saying they went that way. I'm saying they went that way, but I didn't say they went to the Congo, right? But
you could probably have taken out on a few cargo planes. I mean, that would have been the fastest way to do it. Otherwise, I don't even know if there's a highway across the Sahara. You'd have to go all the way through Chad, which is an even bigger country than Libya. Like, you're literally crossing the Sahara Desert from north to south, and then you're into sub-Saharan Africa, and then the Congo is still a long way to go. Yeah, it's at least 3,000 miles. Africa is an enormous place.
It's a very big continent, yeah.
Yeah, it's bigger than ours, for sure.
Oh, when I went to Angola, it was like, it's enormous.
Yeah, it's a massive place. Mm-hmm. The idea there's no room for this, extra 4 billion people or something they say they're going to have by the end of the century is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The place is enormous. Yeah, and that's not true anyway. I mean, if we go broke and we can't send them food aid, they're not going to have an extra couple billion people. They're going to be down to about 500 million by the time the starvation is over.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't shown any evidence that they can run the European-style nation states that we set them up with after decolonization. That much is for sure. So when they're not getting aid from us, they're in big, big trouble.
Well, these are photos of the Gaddafi gold reserves for Libya.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually from a documentary from when they had auditors go in. This was back, I think this was in 1972 or 73, when they had auditors go in and audit the gold reserves in Libya.
Yeah.
And that was one thing, and and it's not even like a couple of weeks ago that's just surfacing a little bit. That, hey, El Dorado somewhere now in Africa, this amount of gold was trucked out of Libya from what we heard, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this is kind of floating around. Here it is on RT. Gaddafi's golden oil plan bombed away by coalition Libyan mission. Plan to rescue the country's crippled economy. This is an old article here. Motivational for allies may be black gold and not humanitarian mission.
Oh, absolutely. It's oil, not being traded in U.S. dollars, and to get that gold, because if you don't have physical gold to deliver when people stand for physical delivery, well, then the whole price manipulation scheme, not just gold, but just about every commodity on the planet, starts to catch fire.
Well,
and
I have
when
a
that
picture
fire
of
gets
a
going,
Libyan armed forces soldier in the back of a dump truck with a pile of gold bars, not nicely stacked, just thrown in there.
Yeah, it was a hasty evacuation.
Image too.
A hasty evacuation for sure. I'm
like
inclined
all
to
thrown
think
in the back of a dump truck here. So this has been resurfacing the last week or two. So I just kind of wanted to bend your brain on it and what you thought. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. You look at that dump truck full of gold bars. Yeah, that's a panic. That's a panic move. There's nothing orderly about that.
Yeah, gold reserves disappearing before Gaddafi leaving. Why are they saying he's leaving? He was taken out.
Yeah, he may have planned on seeking exile somewhere if they were going to come take him out. Obviously, he didn't make it. To be fair, there was 4 or 5 Americans in the U.S. Embassy that were also abandoned to their fate as well. Probably just. I don't think that ambassador that was sent there, I don't think he was sent there entirely just to be an ambassador and be a nice guy. I think he might have been on some other kind of mission, but Hillary sold him out. They do it a lot.
Oh, shout out to my man Mason here in the comment section saying, "Hey Mike, it is Mason. Can you give me a shout out?" Yeah, Mason. Shout outs to Mason. Yeah, I got quite a few people actually visiting me at the shop recently, Supreme.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, quite a few people coming through and visiting me.
Nice.
Really nice. I like it. Also, did I tell you I had a guy from Maine visiting me?
No, I don't think you mentioned that one.
He spent a week at my shop.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Stayed in a hotel and then went to the shop for the day and spent the day with me. Like the whole week.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, and then I had some lady from Australia coming through and she's like, I have never been to I came from Vancouver for holidays, and when I found out we were going to Vancouver, I checked to see where you lived to come and visit you at your store.
Oh, that's great. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're seeing that. So this fella from Maine, what's his deal? What does he do for fun and profit?
He does tech stuff in Maine. He does tech work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he said he's just a stone throw away from Washington D.C.
Yeah, probably where he works. Yeah, he'd be close to that. Yeah, well, that's he'd have his finger on the pulse, all right. He'd know all kinds of cool stuff.
Yep, he's guys. I have a picture of the gold currency that Gaddafi tried to issue. Here it is here, and there it is there. And this would have rocked the oil markets. This would have basically this gold currency backed currency. Gold African-backed currency would have destroyed the Western economy.
Oh, absolutely! It was a major shot across the bow. I mean, it was as much an act of suicide as anything. I mean, at some point he decided he was going for it, and I think his intentions were not entirely evil. Definitely, that part of the world has been very badly treated in the last 300-400 years. Let's be fair. But yeah, he signed his own death warrant when he tried to move forward with that. Same with Saddam Hussein. You know, these weren't nice guys. You don't rule in that part of the world by being a nice guy. Hell, you don't rule in this part of the world by being a nice guy. There are no angels anywhere. Oh God, they can't afford it. Honest people don't get elected, Mike. That's the problem. That's a commentary on democracy right there. You know, never mind the wild tribal cultures in some parts of the world, even here in Canada. Like you can't be honest and get elected. Maybe once the disaster's already hit, and then you're the lucky guy who gets to tell everybody what happened and what you're going to do to fix it. Maybe they'll give you some time to do what you need to do, because everyone's already been hurt. But yeah, the one who's sitting in office when the big crash comes, when the boogaloo starts, yeah, that's not going to be a fun place to be.
Mm-hmm. Here's a photo, guys, of what Libya looked like before and after 2007. Nice highway, beautiful infrastructure, and look at it in 2011, an absolute war-torn disaster.
Yeah, no, it was terrible.
That was the biggest mistake they did, was going. I think that's a total war crime.
It's a complete war crime.
It's a crime against humanity.
And then they blame that on the the influx of migrants into Europe. Oh well, we've got all these disasters, the Syrian civil war and the Libyan thing. Well, these refugees, we need to let them in. But you've got refugees coming from the Congo, from Somalia, from Eritrea, from all over sub-Saharan Africa. There's no civil wars going on there. There was nothing happening there. It's ridiculous. They were brought in to disrupt.
Okay, so we got somebody here who's asking for them to sub to his channel. It's Item Shop Daily 1234, 18 subscribers. Go ahead and subscribe his channel. We'll probably have him on the show sometime to give us a little insight on what is happening. So check out his channel here. He probably have something going on. So he's streaming, looks like video game stuff. But yeah, man, keep trucking away on YouTube. Keep trucking away on your social media. Don't give up. Item Shop Daily 1234.
Yeah, that's the thing, is just keep going. Whatever you're doing, whatever your project is on YouTube, if you're a content creator, just keep moving on it. Don't give up, because there's millions, and they're all the algorithms in the world, they can't get everybody, and even some of the bigger channels like Black Pigeon Speaks were taken down, and they're back up now.
Yeah,
it doesn't just go one way. Because it's getting to the point now where, Facebook, Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey of Twitter, these guys are getting hauled into Washington on a fairly regular basis. And the thing about American politics, you might think that they're all controlled by donors, but the fact is, Trump proved that you could spend $1 billion on a presidential campaign and not win. So they're not going to they're not going to just listen to donors. They're going to listen to voters. And if the voters say we want this to change, it will change. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll handle it correctly. It doesn't mean that whatever compromise they come up with is going to please everyone. But some of these tech monopolies have got a sword hanging over their heads right now.
Yeah, so here's this is what I hate when I see things like this. Why the West wants the Libyan leader dead. I don't want the Libyan leader dead. You don't want the Libyan leader dead. Look what's happened now to Libya after he died.
Yeah.
We don't I hate when they misrepresent people by stating, I could tell you 100 to 1 that for every one American that wants a Libyan leader dead, there's 100 that don't. And for that one that wants him dead has no idea what the heck he's talking about.
Yeah, well, these people don't speak for us. They don't even claim to speak for us anymore. They're making it like they speak for us. So when we travel internationally or abroad, we get pointed at as like a Western, and we are doing this stuff. I don't want this stuff. It happened to my culture. The Portuguese got destabilized. The Portuguese Empire, we lost our empire in the 1970s because we refused to join the World Bank. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. The World Bank had more power than the Portuguese Empire. So building empires and trying to maintain empires doesn't hold up against that kind of power anymore. Mm-hmm. And the reality is, even if the Portuguese had said, well, screw you, we're going to stick to gold-backed currency, we're going to keep our empire. The fact is, the European Economic Community was coming into being at that time. And, they would have lost a lot. So it still would have come down to, did the people of Portugal want to maintain their empire more than they wanted to participate in European trade?
Well, they didn't
And
need
from a
European trade
globalist
because they had Brazil and they had a good percentage of Africa, so they have most of South America. Why the heck did they need European trade for?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If anything, Germany
they probably
needs
should have stuck
Portugal.
with
If
it.
anything, Spain needs Portugal. But they denounced the country. They made it like an outlaw country, and basically they shut them down because since they refused to trade with the East Indian Trading Company to sell drugs, the Portuguese refused to. That's why the Japanese only dealt with the Portuguese and the Chinese only dealt with the Portuguese for a lot of years because they didn't want to deal with the English and this corruption, you know?
Yeah, well, the Chinese have their own reasons not to like the British. The Opium Wars, for one. I mean, the British were doing the same thing in China that the CIA is doing in America, getting the entire population as much as possible hooked on drugs.
See, Portuguese, the largest and longest lived empires in world history. It existed for 6 centuries.
Yeah,
From
you'd have to go.
1415 to 1999, we lost our last territory in 1999.
You'd have to go all the way back probably to the Byzantine Empire to see when that lasted as longer than that, right? Yeah, it was a pretty impressive place. Well, the thing about colonies and the thing about empires is they have to a certain extent, they have to be self-sustaining. And it probably was a matter of, it might have been just a coin toss. Do we keep our empire and continue to try to be mercantilist about it and support ourselves with this empire, or just let it go at some point in time? And the fact is, you have treason. You have globalist politicians in Portugal too. This is where I think the globalists made a mistake, because when they made European nations divest themselves of their colonies, I mean, that's a whole lot of areas that all of these nations controlled. Like you would have had the EU, you would have had this common market, which also would have controlled, up to a quarter of the rest of the world's landmass. I mean, that's a hell of a big gain for globalists. It seems kind of strange that they would make them divest themselves of their empire like that. But it's I don't know. They obviously had a strategy and they were working it, and they forced them to do that. But yeah, there are probably a lot of people in Portugal who were not happy about it.
Oh,
just like
there's lots of people that are not happy but a lot of people that weren't happy fled to Brazil too, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And a lot of people took their wealth to Angola and Mozambique, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people. So this is a map here showing. So I mean, they basically pooed on them for 2.5 centuries because they refused to join the World Bank up until 1970. Was it 72 or 74? Finally,
74,
the Portuguese gave in. They were impoverished. You know that Portugal had more sanctions on it than America has right now on Iran? A lot of people don't know. Portugal was sanctioned to death because they refused to join the World Bank. They weren't getting penicillin. They weren't getting medications. They weren't getting clothing, food. They weren't getting necessities because they refused to join the World Bank. Yeah,
you would have think, though, they could have had Brazil or they could have had some of these other colonies produce those things.
They did, But then we saw the end of the shipping, like by ship, right? We saw the end of the whole. You know what I'm saying? And then now, for anyone to go and do anything anymore, they need permission. It's like you need permission to go pick up this cotton in Africa, or you need permission to pick up these pineapples in Brazil. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, well, in the end, sometimes you got to pull in your horns. I mean, if you got to the point that you're facing a united front of other European neighbors and probably America, saying that you've got to divest yourself of your colonies, or you can't trade with us. And Portugal has been a trading nation for probably 600-700 years at least. Since their empire. So in all likelihood, it was the lesser of two evils. Well, just let these colonies go, and at least we can look after our own people. Yeah, I'm sure they didn't want to do it. Just like there were probably a lot of people in Great Britain that did not want to see the end of the British Empire, but a lot of people were tired, and it was very expensive, and it just stopped paying for itself.
But the distribution of wealth with the Portuguese Empire was very different. It was the country of Portugal at one point was so rich that they never taxed property tax or taxes on anyone's land for 120 years.
Yeah.
That's how good it was going, right? And
that's a lot of it is.
Huh?
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's kind of bad, you know. Oh, they're not going to join. They're not going to join they're not going to join us in our banks. And then you had the wars in Angola, right? And when you talk about Angola, when you talk about it, people are like, oh, you know, whatever, it's Africa, Mike. No, if you look at Angola, here are images of it. This is Angola. This is when the Portuguese were there. It was. Remember, I showed you those videos, those vintage videos from the 1970s.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It looked like any city you would live in.
Absolutely, yeah. No,
But
there
then,
was a lot. There was progress there.
The West didn't like that, and they went and destabilized these damn countries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
well,
that's the scary part.
Chaos.
Anytime you got something good going, they just go in there and take it over.
There's money in chaos. Someone makes good money in chaos. Look at the chaos in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's East versus West. It's always been East versus West in Canada. No question about it. Plus, Quebec is always a wild card too. But it's still, in the end, someone is profiting from this, or at least they've decided it would be better to maintain the status quo rather than change things and be, you know, from the outside looking in, way more sensible about things. So someone wants things the way they are because some entrenched interest wants things the way they are because it's profiting them, even if everyone else isn't profiting. There's lots of psychos. You know, well, screw them. I don't care as long as I get what I want. They can, and people can rationalize all kinds of things to themselves to screw other people. You know, there are not a lot of angels.
Here, me and you are talking about let's carve out a piece of land, put some barbed wire fence, make it a nature preserve. But 50 kilometers in the middle, we have a small town that's living in the medieval times, kind of like with with candles and kind of away from all this society and technology and stuff.
Yeah.
But then we do that, it becomes prosperous, we become strong, and we just keep to our own business. They're just going to come and bring us freedom.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. They'll come and bring freedom. They'll load up the cop cars and armored cars and come and bring you freedom. That's right. They'll accuse you of grooming your children, or they'll accuse you of abusing your women, or they'll accuse you of laundering money, or whatever it takes. They've got 20 different ways to put a tag on your door or on the gate outside your community and say, you know, you are hereby disbanded. And they'll do it just because the reason that you went to do that is because you did not want to comply with the pause, right? The woke social justice, whatever kind of hellscape they're trying to turn us into. So we just haven't had mass resistance yet because there's still
people still have stuff to lose. You have to wait till everybody loses what they have. Then they have nothing to lose anymore. They'll just fight back.
Then the party starts. Yeah. Then people start getting mad. There's some family court judges. There's some teachers, you know, whoever comes up with these curriculum for sex ed, or the people that come up with this, or the latest things that the media, hits you with en masse is, okay, we're all going to eat maggot sausages and, all this revolting stuff. And all they're doing is demoralizing you and trying to humiliate you. They're telling you your children are going to be brainwashed and raped, and you're going to be broke, and you have no future. And if you fight back, we'll hit you with the force of the law. And by the time the press is done with you, you were just another radical white dude, right? That's the threat. And you're right. It's got to get to the point where enough people say, I have nothing left to lose.
Yeah, I discussed this earlier with the other gentleman, Eddie there that was on the show.
Yeah, you bet.
And you know what? I think people. I think there's a small group of people. They just want to be left alone. Like, they want to be part of society. They want to be part of day-to-days. They don't want to be bothered with garbage. And
Yeah.
they just don't want to deal with this crap because a lot of this stuff is a bunch of garbage you're trying to shove down our throats. And then if you don't want to deal with this kind of crap, you're a bigot and a racist.
Yeah, that's right. That's all it is in the end. No, they don't want to leave anybody alone. They will not leave anyone alone until everyone thinks the same. That if you don't think the same, then you're an enemy, which means the war is still on, and they're at war with you. It's not necessarily, where they come to your door, kicking your door with bayonets yet, but they would love it. They would love it if they could have total control to put people on boxcars and haul them off to camps. They would do it. We have people like that in Canada. Absolutely, they exist everywhere, but there's far more people that have no interest in it. Usually, when you have some kind of government speech restriction or something, eventually someone takes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court shoots down the government measure, and then things more or less go back to the way they were. So that's the problem, is all of this fighting that people have to do just to be left alone. And every once in a while, we have to, like it was like with the gun registry, right? In the end, that was just money laundering. I mean, it was supposed to cost a couple $1 million. Well, it cost close to $1 billion.
Yeah.
Nobody registered their friggin' guns. It was just money laundering.
It's a bunch of garbage.
The money, yeah, it was a bunch of garbage. The money all probably went to Quebec or something. Like it was just nothing.
We got three right guys gaming podcast in the comments saying they need to micromanage your life. No, I don't want to be told what kind of cigarettes to smoke. I don't want to be told what water to drink. I don't want to be told how much to exercise per day. I don't want to be told anything. I just want to sit down, make my podcast, have a few conversations. I want to go upstairs, watch what I want to watch. I want to wake up in the morning, decide if I want to go to church tomorrow, yes or no. I want to make my decisions. I don't want to be more and more managed, and have all these friggin' cameras now we're going to be put up all over the place to watch every move I make, right? But then if it goes against the status quo, I have a problem. But if I need to exonerate myself in court to say, look, I was on this street at this time, there's no way I was at that place you're trying to put me at, well, we can't use those cameras for that, sir.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's the idea is to keep you constantly on the defensive so that you are expending all of your energy and all of your family wealth and whatever else it takes just to try to stay in the same place. And then they just attack somewhere else. It's an offensive on multiple fronts. Plus, most of the true believers in this social justice stuff, I mean, they come out that door and they're like, they might as well be waving the thoughts of Chairman Mao in their hands, like they're just, as far as they're concerned, we're the big bad boogeyman, and they're the underdogs that are coming to spread their gospel. They approach this with a missionary zeal, and they look at people like us as a literal enemy, as scum that needs to be wiped out. Like you see how they hiss and they scream and they're just, the rage that they have, just the hate that has been just pounded into their heads. And then you go back to Saul Alinsky's little book, Rules for Radicals. It's all projection. What they're doing, they accuse you of.
Of course.
Right. And they'll lie.
It's like that nutbag here in town that is ceasing and assisting for me to stop doing what he's doing to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's happening. He's accusing you of doing what he's doing. He's saying you're harassing me and you're ruining my life and you're doing this and you're doing that. And then he sends you a message saying, what a ridiculous thing to do. It's just outrageous. It's just garbage. It's just laughable, right? Mm-hmm. But this is the thing. It spreads agitation and it creates stress. And then you're automatically thinking about your home and your family and a little bit worried. And this guy just goes home and sleeps at night. He doesn't care. He just does whatever he wants. The thing is that this has been going on for quite a while. But now you're seeing pushback. Mm-hmm. And I understand there are people saying it doesn't matter who you vote for. They're all supported by the same people, whatever. Mm-hmm. No, they aren't. No, they have lots of backroom discussions about how they're going to strategize, win elections and things like that, because the fact is they are up for grabs. The elections are up for grabs. And even if both sides were managed, even if the opposition was controlled, the opposition still is going to change the direction somewhat. right, from the way it's going. I think the idea is, well, okay, we'll go this way until we can't, and then the people will elect a new government, and then we'll go the same way but a little bit slower, right? We're gonna manage it. Well, when enough people have been completely left out of that system, right, and yet they still have a vote, well, then that gives an opportunity for new challengers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's always people that want power. There's always people looking for an opportunity. Some are grifters, some are moral crusaders, or some of them are like Trump. And I think part of Trump's motivation is patriotic, but it's also, ambition, something like the Kennedys. He wants to set up a Trump political dynasty in America. That's a pretty sweet gig if you can get in on that. You've really arrived in America if you can become one of the ruling families.
Yep.
Right. So I think he's found his out. But that's the thing. He found a bunch of people that had been purposely ignored by both political parties and had been disenfranchised completely. And the next step for them was civil war. If Hillary won, America would have dissolved into chaos.
Well, let's go back to the Kennedy era. You touched on that.
Yeah.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy, second youngest president of the United States. I think it was one of the first Catholic presidents. They had to take him out. They had to take the guy out. Why? Because he was doing more meaningful things for his people than doing it against them.
Yeah. He was probably he wasn't the first guy that saw the machine, right? But he was the first guy that openly tried to do something about the machine. And yeah, they took him out.
Wasn't it Dwight David Eisenhower on his resignation speech, or when he was basically out of office, he gave that whole spiel about the industrial military complex?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. He took the opportunity on the way out the door to say, basically, people, there's a machine here.
And John Fitzgerald Kennedy addressed it during his secret organization speech too.
Yeah, it was a commencement speech at Columbia University, and I don't know. I hear differing. Some say, "Oh, well, it's been debunked," but there's always someone that says anything that you think, someone will come out and say, "Well, it's been debunked." Like, you believe in God, don't you, Mike?
Of course I do.
Do you know there are people that say, "Oh, well, God's been debunked," right?
Yeah, it's like, but the problem is,
you know what I mean? Like, you can't win with some people. There's no point talking to them.
Well, it's like this. I'll give you an example. See this remote control here? Well, you can't see it because it's on delay. This remote control, and I show people this remote control and say, how much of this remote control, if this is everything that ever existed on Earth, everything that ever existed in time, space, and the time continuum in history, and everything there is to know about anything, how much of this remote control do you think you know? Most people will point at a little corner. I say, probably that much. Then I would say, how do you not know that this whole portion here, God could exist?
Well, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, so if and that, again, that's a subject that has been going on for thousands of years. It's a solid extra said the Kennedy family started mass immigration in the 60s. Why doesn't anyone mention that? Well, JFK didn't start that. It was Ted Kennedy that signed that. I forget what the bill was called, but when they started saying, okay, we're not going to prioritize Europeans anymore, we're going to start bringing in people from other places. It's I don't know how involved Ted Kennedy was in the assassination of his brother there, or both of his brothers, although I have a feeling both of them were not random events. That's what I think. Everyone has their own opinion on that and who might have done it. That's fine. But basically 1965, the year I was born. That's the year that basically the whole Western world decided, well, we're going to change things. And there were lots of warnings at that time. And you've got statesmen and commenters talking about the hazards with it to this day. And it hasn't even slowed it down, because these people have control of the levers of power. Okay. Well, JFK would have been sympathetic, solid extra, because he was literally the first Irish Catholic president. The idea of an Irish Catholic being even an American citizen, like not 100 years before his time, would have been unthinkable. So it was a pretty big. I don't think it had anything to do with wanting to import Somalia. I think he just wanted to make the point that Irish Catholics and other Europeans could come in. It's not even a question. Okay, whether the Western world should just be Europeans. I mean, Europeans built the Western world. The Western world is ours. and anyone that we choose to let live here, if they're here for a good reason, fine. Come on over and help out, blend in, join in, and let's all build something good together. That's the idea. That's how it should be. It becomes politicized.
Then you start having these conclaves of different people, and then segregation happens, and then people just start hating on each other, and then the divide and conquer takes over. I got Evan here in the comments saying that he's got a SMS from the police saying that he's not allowed to go out. They're mass messaging people in Hong Kong, telling them that they're not allowed to go out right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there's curfews, yeah. Yeah, they want the streets cleared. They've got to deal with looting. If they're going to maintain any kind of law and order, the Hong Kong police still have to go out and deal with the looting. They can't have that kind of chaos. Hong Kong is built entirely on commerce. They don't have any land to speak of. They don't have any natural resources. They depend on their trade and financial services progressing smoothly. They've got to look after that. If that goes down, they're in big trouble. The Chinese government is got a major problem here, and all these people have to do is keep up the resistance, and not a shot being fired. And it's just going to be in the news. It's going to be a real thorn in their side. And obviously their usual response is send in the military and just start shooting people, and restore order. And but they can't do that here. Hong Kong is a tripwire to the Chinese. They are going to mess themselves up bad. It'll create chaos all over the world, no question about it, because a disruption in the Chinese logistical chain means that there's a whole lot of other people selling to the Chinese that suddenly will be out of business too. So it's going to
be a reverberation of proportions that's going to basically send. You're going to see an aftershock of at least 5 to 15 years of reparation.
Oh, definitely. I mean, where America's concerned, if they can't build it themselves, they can find someone else to build anything for them, right? They don't really need China. Trump has said we don't need China. Well, he's right. They put guys on the moon and fought a couple world wars, and they did it with silver and gold money, and they did it without trading with China. So they could continue to do that. It's not a big deal. This idea that we're all an interconnected world. No, sometimes you want a firewall. Sometimes you want to keep the mess over there. You don't want it here. When you invite the world, you're inviting the world's mess. And that's part of the reason that we have the chaos we have now. It's not just a matter of the demographic changes taking place in our own countries. It's also the fact that a lot of our prosperity depends on all of those people having something productive to do. When you're offshoring all of your most lucrative jobs, from average citizens to slave labor in the third world, so people have to go into debt to continue to maintain the illusion of being middle class, which unfortunately is all it is now. It might seem real clever when you're the guy up the ladder raking in wealth from all of this and getting control of farms and factories and banks and everything else up to a certain point. But people eventually begin to understand what's happening, and then they demand that their leaders do something about it. And the fact is, the great mass of people, and again, it all starts with America, because America, there's several 100 million firearms in private ownership, and no, the U.S. military hasn't got a hope in hell of taking those people out.
Right.
It would be Afghanistan times 1,000.
Oh yeah, people
they
won't
don't
give
want
up that easily. People won't give up the good life that they've had for since pretty much 1776 and 1777. Sorry, I think it'd be tough to. And they are losing it piece by piece right now. I think in November 22nd, 1963, when President Kennedy was assassinated, I think that's the day that America died, in my opinion.
You could say that. There's no question that the America that people had been accustomed to, especially since World War II, which was not that long ago at that point, was over. I mean, the 60s, there was tumult, there was turmoil. people need to understand that, there were at least several hundred bombings in the United States in the 70s. There were terrorist uprisings. There were all kinds of people that were going to, overthrow the man, and they were going to do all these amazing things. It wasn't all just talk.
Mhm.
Like, there were people that were dead serious about doing that, world revolution and all the rest of it. And they meant it, and people died. Real
Mhm.
people died, and they did not know how they were going to control it. Well, they figured some things out, and a lot of it just died down.
Yeah.
Once a few of the perpetrators were behind bars or dead, then a lot of things died down. And they're probably expecting the same thing to happen this time. Like in France, where the yellow vests are concerned, they can't really tell them they're wrong, so they're just waiting them out. They'll keep it off they'll demoralize them. They'll keep it off the French media, and they'll make a few more people will die and be injured, and they just figure at some point in time, people will get tired of it and go home and give up. I give up. They don't care. They don't care if people are happy. They just want them to give up.
Yeah, they just want them to dwindle and
Yeah.
the fire die out. And
Yeah, stop disrupting my dinner parties with your emergencies. We want to go on with our luxurious lives. And
well, they're gonna have to just do what Iceland did, just imprison everybody, and that's it.
yeah, Iceland is only 300,000 people, and it was fairly homogenous society. There wasn't really a problem for them doing it there. A place like France, France has a history of uprisings and rebellions. I forget how many governments they've had since
the
World War
heads
II
will
alone.
roll.
Well, they literally roll in France, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Guillotine.
Yeah, they pioneered that, and it's pretty nasty. It took them a couple hundred years to give up on using it too.
Mm-hmm. It did.
Yeah.
They actually did. Yes.
They're pushing their luck. They're pushing their luck a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing. Like I said, order out of chaos. This whole new world order way of doing things. Well, it's just there are other forces in that chaos now that they don't control, or ones that might arise.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of the electronic surveillance is, because they're trying to find patterns, because they're trying to figure out where the next threat is going to come from, so that they can prepare for it before any real chaos.
There's no threat. We're the threat.
We're the threat.
It's all in our heads.
We're not complying, right? You're not in debt. I'm not in debt. We save our money, and we save it in assets other than whatever pension fund they want us to put all of our money into. We fight back when they try to institute new taxes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't cooperate. And that's the thing. And I mean, it doesn't mean that we're out in the street with the barricades and throwing Molotov cocktails and fighting with the police. You don't have to do that.
No.
If people just refuse to comply, things would change overnight. Most of them won't, because they don't care. They just assume that the way things are is the way they're always going to be. People think that they think we're all going to live to be 200 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They think that we're 3 hours away from curing death.
No, we're not.
You know what I mean? No,
like
of course.
my time is like, I'm 41 now, and
Yeah.
I'm seeing after losing my dad 2 months ago, I'm starting to see how precious time on Earth is and how short our lifespans are realistically. You look back in 1991-92, I still remember when the Blue Jays won the World Series pennant.
Yeah.
And that felt like it was yesterday. I couldn't fathom that was 20, 30 years ago now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the death
time flies,
of Princess Diana, how long ago was that?
1997, 22 years ago.
Yeah. Can you believe that was
Yeah.
22 years ago? I still feel like it was like the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, my kids were 2 and 3 years old.
Right.
Yeah, they were.
But
my
I mean,
my
does
little
it
babies.
feel like it felt like a long time?
No, it went
That's
by
the
so
thing.
fast.
But we're getting old, and it's time doesn't wait for us. Time waits for nobody.
No, sir, it sure doesn't. A lot of people spent their lives. They missed that train, man. I feel like that some days. I really do. I think, man, if I could have it to do over, but there were too many good things that I would have to give up to do that. So I won't be making that deal with the devil. That won't be happening. I'll just work with what I have right now. None of your business. If the government enforced gun confiscation, baby boomers would willingly hand over guns and invite police officers in for coffee, spouting within Boo Line. Yeah, probably, but I don't think it would get that far, because there would be 20 different court challenges. And the way the Supreme Court is arraigned now, at least one of them would would hold. Like, I'm surprised that even cities like Chicago can have gun bans. I'm
very surprised with
they
that. And
permit it.
then their gun crime went up like 600% since they did that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was a stupid idea. It was ridiculous. It doesn't work. But it was never about safety. They always talk about, it's for the children, right? Well, you got these massacres going on, and they just look the other way. Solid Extra, I'm 19 and I feel like I've wasted my life. Dude, when I turned 20 and I wasn't a teenager anymore, I thought it was over. You know what I mean?
Solid Extra, you have a long life ahead of you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
You have a long life ahead of you, dude.
You have a long life ahead of you, but don't waste a minute of it, because I'll tell you, there's lots of guys that are 20, 30 years older than you, and they still haven't got off square one.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy. You have a future. The earth is not going to burn up, and the New World Order is not going to pull it off, because there's forces that they have to resist in order to pull it off. And those forces are growing. It's like the speed of light. As you push more and more against that envelope, you need more and more energy to break through that barrier. And eventually it gets to the point where it's infinite. Nobody has that kind of power. They do everything they do behind the scenes, and they have to do that, because if it was open, they'd be dead. They would not be able to walk down the street safely. And it's actually getting to the point.
Okay, we got Evan back on the ground right now.
Good.
So,
Wow.
Evan just sending me this right now. He is in this. I hope he's not in this thing. So there's a lot of people. So when the media tells us basically that all is well in Hong Kong, nobody panic, it's all good. Well, this is it right now, coming to us live.
Wow. So are those people marching, or are they just regular shoppers?
In the comments right now on see if you could spot me. Oh Christ!
So you're not holding the camera, Evan?
So he's basically patched onto this guy's live stream here. That's basically with him. So Evan's heavily connected in Hong Kong. So he's got people filming, right? So
Sure.
So I'm really concerned about, this is a big deal. And people don't understand how big of a deal this is, because they're going to go for Hong Kong, and then once they get Hong Kong, they're going to go for Taiwan, and once they go for Taiwan, they're probably going to go for other Spartly islands there that are part of the Philippines, and they'll just keep expanding their military reach.
They will if no one stops them. They would have done all those things already, except for the U.S. Navy, the Royal Navy. The Philippines wouldn't just roll over. I mean, the Australians aren't actually a major world power. The thing is the Chinese have to be able to pull this off one war at a time. Kind of like how Bismarck did his thing. Mm-hmm. They don't want to take on the whole world at once.
No, the Japanese made that mistake when they invaded Manchuria.
Yeah, well, they invaded Manchuria because the U.S. embargoed them from oil and scrap metal. The Japanese, before Pearl Harbor, were down to about 2 years left of oil supply, and then they were going to be out.
Yeah.
They were buying most of their oil from the U.S. was a major oil exporter at that time. And when the U.S. cut them off, and part of the reason was human rights, but also part of the reason was to provoke the Japanese into attacking the American fleet or doing something. And they succeeded. Eventually they succeeded. Then they froze Japanese assets in America. So if the Americans felt that they were ready to provoke the Chinese into something, they could freeze Chinese assets over on this side. And that would be a pretext for some kind of military conflict, especially with the financial trouble that China's in right now. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. Yeah, they're playing a game. But they're playing a game against some very experienced old hands, and guys who have no mercy. So they're, the world within our country has, at least theoretically, laws and rules that people live by. Internationally, it's a free-for-all. It's the jungle. It's survival of the fittest. And the people that we have on our side ruling things, in some ways, it's kept us safe this long, Mike, because that's how nasty these people are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not all bad. Yeah. We just need to make sure that we take advantage of it and look after our own. We might only be 1% or 2% or 10% of the population that is kind of more or less aware of what's going on. Well, that's a hell of an advantage when you think about it. You know, like to think that you're part of the 10%. Well, economically you might not be, at least now, right? But you're better set up for the immediate future than people that are just going about their lives, then going home and watching Netflix all day. You know what I mean? Yeah, going about their lives.
Yeah.
You know, reading, watching guys pour gravy down their pants and stuff like that. That's most people's mentality. It doesn't mean they're dumb, okay, but they're not really concerned about day to day. It's it'll all work out, man. It's okay.
Yeah, no,
You're,
it
right?
does.
No, everything's fine. Everyone's happy nowadays. You know, if anyone's ever read Brave New World, you get conditioned with that stuff, right? No, everyone's happy. I don't know what your problem is.
Okay. Well, Supreme, I'm going to let you go. We've been on the air for 3 hours.
Oh, wow. I guess so.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Okay. Well, been a pleasure, and God bless everyone, and chin up.
Chin up, guys.
Be aware, and we'll get through it together, okay?
Woo! Yep. Thank you so much, Supreme, for weighing in tonight and giving us an insight on your angle on things.
Oh, it's my pleasure anytime.
All right, take care.
Great to chat. All right, take care, everyone. Bye for now.
So that was Supreme Cannon. And, yeah, so there was a rumor floating around kind of resurfacing about the whole Gaddafi gold thing. So there might be a El Dorado out there somewhere, or some vault of gold somewhere. There must be something, out there. And resurfaced again, and I'm thinking maybe I might need to go to Southwest Africa and see if I could find that gold. Ryan Holden in the comments, thanks, buddy. Yeah, thanks, Ryan, so much for contributing. Cognitive Rue, good night, all good night. Thanks, great show. Yeah, thanks, guys. So we got Evan on the ground. We got our eyes and ears on the ground, and I got somebody else in Taiwan. Another correspondent in Taiwan for Mike in the Night, who will give us a little bit of an insight on what's happening. We got Shanghai Larry on the mainland in China that's giving me updates on the gold situation there, where bullion dealers are running out of gold in China, where people are just buying up gold. So I do have some eyes and ears on the ground in China, but not as much, I have tons in Australia and New Zealand and Canada and the United States and even some in the UK, but I wish I had, yeah. Anyways. Margaret O'Brien saying 5% make things happen, 10% watch it happen, and 85% ask what just happened. No, Supreme Cannon does not have I've been telling him to start a YouTube channel for a long time. I don't know why he won't. I kept telling him, I even, just come on, Supreme. Do this, do it for the boys, do it for the team. But you know what? I think he, depending on what his work situation is, the next maybe 2 quarters, he might have a little bit more free time on his hand. Maybe he might come through. Guys, okay, don't forget to, here you go. Here's the link for Instagram. Guys, go ahead and link me up on Instagram, please, if you want to kind of follow me. Here I am on Patreon if you want to support. I only have 16 Patreon supporters. I lost 1 Patreon supporter, so if you wanted to, donate $1 a month. And here it is here, and PayPal if you want to send me a tip in the tip jar. Go ahead, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for all your support. And guys, if the women don't find you handsome, at least they'll find you handy. Great words from our old friend, The Red Green Show. Thanks for watching, and this is Mike in the Night tuning out. Hope you guys having a good night or good morning or good evening. Thanks for watching.